Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Democracy First, our virtual town hall for diverse, civic-minded people who gather Monday through Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time to discuss current events, legislation, civics, politics, and the effect they all have on our democracy. A two-century-old work in progress shaped by we the people. And we gather here to continue that work, making good trouble. We welcome new voices and treasure the old in our conversational roundtable centered on respect, where we strive for a safe, welcoming space that is informative and inspiring because it's fact based and solution oriented. We do honor a few rules of etiquette. One is that we understand that we can agree to disagree without being disrespectful. We can attack arguments or ideas without attacking people. We raise our hand to speak and mute our mic when we're not. This is for sound quality and also to allow speakers to do so without any interruptions. And I really ask that you pay particular attention to that now because there is no longer the mute option in the host moderation tool. So I might have to drop people down if I can't get their attention and their mic is open. But a reminder, it is a daytime recorded space. So please keep this in mind with the personal information you share and the language that you use. But otherwise, as always, we welcome you to join in the conversation, help us get the conversation started. Don't be shy to request the mic. Use the microphone icon to the left. Once you're brought up to speaker, use that heart icon to the right. You'll get a panel of emojis. The hand to the far right is how you raise your hand. You'll be called on to join us. And I want to thank you for being here and ask that you please share and retweet the space. And as I send out some invites, I'm going to turn it over to my co host, Eugene, see what's on his mind this morning, while I also put some information in the nest that I've come across, some articles of news. Eugene, how are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning, Dee. Good morning, everybody. Afternoon, evening, wherever you're from. Um, yeah, I made a video this morning, and like I guess it was so psychedelic. I've had like four different uh, peddlers of mushroom and acid advertising on my video. But otherwise, this Steve Bannon thing, like he was looking at 6 months. He got 4 months. I don't know what the maximum fine was, but he did get a fine of like over 6,000, 6,000, somewhere right around. It was over 6,000. Um, and the judge said, "Look, you're free while you appeal this." You know, but I would like to remind everybody he was found guilty. So the only thing he can appeal is the sentence, right? That's the only thing he can appeal. He's not appealing uh, he can't appeal the conviction. Well, he could, but that's later on down the road. But this particular appeal is the an appeal of the sentence that the judge granted that he could stay out while he did that. But he's going to jail, and he's guilty. And this is a guy that was pardoned for serious felonies, right? And Trump pardoned him because he helped Trump, which it was just a blatant like quit that quid pro quo thing that went around. I mean, that was all Trump was doing. Was quid pro quo. You defend him and sacrifice your freedom for him, he might help you. Not anybody that would that came out for the 1/6 thing, but anyways,
Oh,
that's
well, he
about all
would
I
help
got.
them too.
Yeah, I've heard that he's made some innuendos that he's gonna help them if he gets back into power. Look, bud, if you were gonna help him, you could have helped them when you were still in power. That was when they were all getting arrested. So, promises, promises.
Exactly. Well, guys, I have brought Sweet Pea up and going to see what's on her mind today. And I have put an item up there, just another tool about getting out the vote from President Biden. And then a story about more um, horrendous, awful legislation that the GOP is trying to push. And this is a group of 33 Republicans who are trying to sponsor a federal Don't Say Gay bill. So, um, again, folks, we need to understand what their agenda is. It's total power. And once they have that power, they will proceed to strip us of our rights, total. They want control of everything and of us. So just keep that in mind. But otherwise, I would love to hear what other people think and what's on their radar. And we're going to start with Sweet Pea. How are you this morning?
Well, good afternoon. Hey, everybody. Um, my first thought when I heard about the Steve Bannon thing, that sounds about white. Is there absolutely any one of us that would have been charged able to walk out of that courtroom? I don't think so. And it pisses me off. We need a major, major overhaul of these sentences that these people are getting. And you know me, it chaps my ass. That's about all I've got right now. Thank you.
Good to
Well,
see you, Sweet Pea. Hey, D,
absolutely.
I
Hmm.
wanted to say I did put something up in the jumbotron. President Biden just tweeted out um, that this year the deficit fell by 1.4 trillion dollars, the largest one-year drop in American history. They can say whatever they want to say, man. They are not. They're yeah.
Well, again, like I said, we have to know the facts, first of all. So thank you for putting that up there. Just keep reminding us and providing us of the resources and tools that we can use to counter the narrative and to actually push the truth of what is being done by this administration and Democrats in general, even those that are seeking to hold office, is, like I said, the fact that they're trying to blame him for the gas prices and crime and all of this other stuff while they would like to, let us think that, they've tried to do something to change it or to improve it. And they don't and they haven't. And there's so much proof of that. So, yeah, thank you for putting that up there. I've got Graham who has come up and then Bob. So glad to have him join us in the conversation today. So, Graham, I'm going to go with you and then Bob. Thanks, Eugene.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Dee and Eugene. TGIF. Um, I have a million things to talk about, but I'll try to keep it down to a few things. I watched a bit of, not the whole thing, I watched a bit of that Jones Sanders debate. Um, and I like Chris Jones, obviously, because he's a super smart guy. He's done like urban design, he's got a PhD, he's a rocket scientist, got everything. So he did really well, and obviously he's the clear choice there. But a few people were watching it, so it'll be interesting to see what they. I missed the beginning, so I'll have to go back and watch it. But something I wanted to say is like we've got 17 days left, and one of the ways that you guys can get involved is to write an op-ed article. There's obviously lots of subjects you could choose. But I put a link up in the nest, and it's from the AAAS on how to write an op-ed. And I think at this point, like peppering your local paper, with these kinds of articles could help bring more attention to these issues. So I have a few other things to pop up into the nest. One of them is a tweet from, I think it's Darlene McDonald, one of our candidates, and so I'm going to pop that up there, and hopefully, if you can, please retweet it or like it. Um, and the tweet is it talks about the statistic. It talks about intersex babies, and the line between male and female is not night and day. There's a whole bunch of reasons why there's things called gender affirming surgeries, and these are real topics, and these are really serious topics. And so I like seeing tweets like this that get into the details to make people go, wow, I didn't know that. So I'll pop that up there. Please amplify it. I think these things need to be seen and talked about. So I got other things. So D, if you need anything, I got stuff. Thanks.
I know you do, and I appreciate that. And yes, and I'm so glad that you put that article up there because, like I said, this push that they have to erase, you know, certain demographics is it's full on, and they're serious about it. They're telling us every day in every way, and we need to know the facts. Some of them are just going to deny it, just like flat earthers. So, um, but it's nice to have. So I thank you for always bringing those to the forefront, Graham. And right now, it's just Eugene, Graham, and Sweet Pea and I on the stage. So if any of you would like to chime in on anything else, feel free to do so until others have decided that they would like to come and join in the conversation.
What happened to Bob?
I don't know. He may be working. I know he often is. Or he may have wanted to put something in the jumbotron. No. So he may be working. I'll check the DMs, and I'm gonna invite someone else up and see. But yeah, you guys don't be shy. And again, like I said, I do understand. That's what he said. He got a work call, so I get it. That's why I do try to push, new people ahead. And Sean is coming up, so I appreciate you guys giving us grace and being patient when I do that, because I know that some of you guys, like I said, you take time out of your workday to come and join in the conversation we're having here around democracy, and it's important, and I appreciate that. So go ahead, Sean. How are you? And then Allie.
Hi,
And
good day,
go.
Dee and Eugene. I hope you all are having a happy Friday. I just really wanted to put some things in the jumbotron, but one of the articles that I'm posting is about how the former guy, I mean, is the spoiler alert. He knew that the numbers for voter fraud that he was quoting were wrong when he was quoting it.
Yeah, like we didn't know that.
So I just wanted to put that out there and wish you all a happy weekend and thanks again.
Well, thank you so much, Sean. We really do appreciate that. And thank you for coming in and, again, providing us with great resources to back up the facts that, and the truth that we know. And it's why like I said, I think that the work that we do is important here. And thanks for contributing. So, up next, Allie, and then Tip. I'm going to go with her because I know too, she's usually joining us from work, and she has some great insights and reports and updates for us that I think makes us all smarter. So, I
Hey, Tip,
appreciate her coming in.
I liked your TikTok you posted this morning. That was really good.
Which one? The happy one or the one that I told Herschel to go suck my you know what?
The happy one, but the other one was good too.
I was pissed last night.
Oh my goodness. Feisty.
Yeah, I was pretty pissed last night with that whole nonsense that he was saying about if you can't, produce a child than you are a man.
I saw
So
that crazy clip. I'm like, who,
I'm
you
like, oh
know,
my god.
who-
I was like sitting in my living room. I'm like, all right, I'm pissed. I need to vent. So I went on to TikTok and I made a TikTok video basically cursing her. I didn't post it. I didn't post it on here because Crystal was probably gonna yell at me. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let Mama Crystal just, and she's in auntie mode. She was already side eyeing me for posting what I had posted on there. So I was like, let me not post it on here. But it's on TikTok. So if you have TikTok, you can go see it. But I try to keep certain things different on both platforms. So yeah, I was not happy with that. Obviously, for women who have gone through infertility issues, who cannot have children, who have chosen not to have children, that is the or people who have had to have surgery, menopause, all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of reasons why women cannot produce or do not want to produce a child. So I just thought that was just so irresponsible to say and just offensive. So yeah, if you want to see me curse him out, you're
and
more than welcome to
stupid,
go.
like most of the
Yeah, he's
stuff
like
he says. It's
he's
just
just
ignorant.
he's the
Yeah.
epitome of stupidity at this point. That's what it said in my video. And there's not much else to say about him
So
other
you
than he
actually said that in your video?
yeah, I say he's the
Uh,
epitome of stupidity.
oh my goodness, that is so funny because that's how I think of him. It's just stupid. I mean, it's just I
There's no way around it. Yeah, he's just dumb. So yeah, I just read him for filth and just kept it moving. Then I went to bed. I'm like, oh my god, my dad's gonna see this, and my mom's gonna call me tomorrow and be like, why would you say that on TikTok? And I'm like, Mom, just leave me alone. I had to vent it out, and now I can go to sleep. Okay. Phil was laughing when he saw it. He's like, you're crazy. I'm like, yeah, I know. But anyways, enough without that fool. Let's see. What's today? I'm just laughing at all of these media people who are doing the most. Okay, real clear politics now. People are saying, "Oh, Michigan is a toss up. Michigan is not a toss up for governor." Stop saying these dumb things. It's like they want a horse race and all these gubernatorial and senate races so bad. I'm like, what are you doing? New York Times is doing this, doing a space right now talking about one poll that shows the New York Times poll that they had last week that wasn't even weighted from what Geechee told me. Now they're like, more people are gonna vote more Republican. Where are y'all getting this crap from? Like y'all take one poll to create a narrative, and now you're pushing it, and it's the same thing that they're doing on MSNBC, which I told you guys I do not watch, but of course everyone else watches and then tells me. So then I end up seeing the clips or hearing what's going on, and of course then I get curious, so then I'll go look. But
mm-hmm.
they were talking about, my favorite race, Pennsylvania Senate, and they had a whole forum talking about John Fetterman's health. So these are the kind of narratives, and we did a space yesterday talking about this because I was so frustrated with this nonsense, that they are creating narratives so that if you're watching that and you're in Pennsylvania, that could change your mind. Or if you're in Georgia, or if you're in another swing state, Wisconsin, or Nevada. Like these are the narratives that they're trying to set. As I said yesterday, we do not have a media apparatus to be able to push what we want. We have to be invited to MSNBC. We have to be invited to CNN. We don't have Fox News and not only Fox News, they have Newsmax. Oh my God. I ended up, because I was watching that debate the other night, I like ended up on Newsmax last night, and I was like, what the hell is going on? This was it was some dude, and I don't know his name, Eric Bowling, something, I don't know, whatever. He was some weirdo dude, and he was just going on about Biden and inflation and the crime. And I like watched like 2 minutes of it, and I was like, oh my God, I can totally see how people get radicalized by this nonsense. It is so hard hitting of lies, like nothing but lies. It is
Nonstop, and they tell the same ones over and over
yeah,
on
it was
every platform. It's brainwashing.
it is brainwashing. I watched it for 2 minutes and I was just like, what in the world am I listening to? If I knew nothing about politics and I just stopped and listened to that, it could persuade somebody who doesn't know anything that's going on. And that in itself is scary because what the hell? It was so weird that I ended up on that. Like I said, I turned TV on and it was just on. I must have clicked it. Like I think I have DirecTV, so it was like I was on C-SPAN, and I think it's like the next one over. I always hear people talk about the station, but I never actually watched it because I
You thought you'd fell down the hole
oh my god, I was like,
with
what in
Alice's
the world is
Wonderland.
happening here? But that's kind of where it is. So yeah, I mean, I posted this morning as well, about the Senate races. I feel good about the incumbents. CCM probably has Catherine Cortez Masto probably has the hardest race, but I think she's gonna pull through. I have confidence that she will. I have confidence that the Latinos will turn out in Clark County and help her. The unions are helping. President Obama is going there, I believe, in a couple weeks. So I think we're fine. I think she's gonna be. I think it's going on November 1st. So I think we're okay. She's a good candidate. She's done good work. I don't know if they're having a debate, but if they do, I want to watch it because the thing is with Laxalt, he ran for governor and he lost before. So if you lost before, why would people want to vote for you now? I don't really get the logic. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I do think that she's going to pull through and win. Obviously, Wisconsin and North Carolina are really, really close. Anything can happen in those states. Florida and Ohio, it depends on the electorate. If we can make some gains back from 2020 in Miami-Dade. I know Mama Don is on, and I see Danny down there. So if we can make some gains in South Florida, then maybe, just maybe, she can pull through. We were getting good responses on text messages, so I am confident that she has a following, and she has people that will vote for her. I just don't know if we have enough people that will do that. So we'll see. What's the other state? And then of course, like I said, Pennsylvania, which is a mess. I know. Sorry, Dallas is at the door. Somebody's at my door, so she's pissed off. You what was I gonna say? Pennsylvania, yeah. They Dr. Oz and Fetterman is gonna probably come down to the wire. I don't know why it had to be this way, but it is. And so I accept it for what it is. I just need Shrek to win. He has to win. There's no if or ands or buts. I don't care if he has to sit in Philly for the next couple of weeks, if he has to go to the Philly burbs. He needs to be working for the next 3 weeks to do whatever he can to win. He put a suit on yesterday, so maybe he got the memo. Get shit together, because if that forum is anything what the electorate thinks, even though I know they pick people to be in those forums, those panels anyway, but I hope that the electorate knows to vote and the independents do the right thing. I pray. I don't know. I'm just going to pray on it because there's nothing we can do. He's the candidate. He has to win. If he loses that race, that will be a huge embarrassment for the Democrats. A lot of money went into that race, and his health is no excuse, in my opinion, because he could have been doing the work. As me and Shauna have said, he's done one, and I say this, one event with Black people in the last 6 months, maybe even before that. So it was like the last one was March. We're now in October. So that's one since March. And that is sad. So it's not on Black voters. You're not reaching out to them. You're not doing what you do. They're still going to show up in polling. They're saying they're going to vote for him. It is coming down to white people, and we know that they are fickle. So hopefully they do the right thing.
Sorry.
Hey,
I
oh, I
guess
was
I
gonna.
have a mute button.
I'm like, Eugene, what did you do to me? Am I talking too much? No, I'm just
I
kidding.
was like, yeah. I'm like, we didn't even have him. Yeah. Okay,
No.
it's back. Okay, so yeah, Twitter is acting crazy because I just told you guys, I don't know, you weren't here at the beginning, but the last couple of days the mute button hasn't even been there. Okay. So it's crazy.
Well,
But
yesterday
go
when I was doing my space, I couldn't hear Dawn, and I know she was talking about me. So I couldn't even hear her. I was the host, and I couldn't even hear what she was saying, which was really weird. So
Yeah,
I
it
could
Yeah.
does.
see when she
It
went
does
on
that.
mute, but I couldn't hear anything she said.
It does
Okay.
that to me too. There's some people that I can't hear I just know that they're talking because Dee will tell me that it happens once in a while. And there's some long running rooms that they've been getting um, kicked off. So
Weird
Yeah,
they,
stuff.
Twitter just doesn't want us to be great, and I think, like, all the shenanigans are, of course, coming out of the woodwork now too
well, I
because
think
of
it's
where
just
we are.
updates, right? They're update
Yeah,
like
I
you see
mean,
that all their icons are updated, and
yeah.
they're updating.
So, all right. But sorry, Tiff.
No worries. Yeah,
Continue.
I'm pretty much done. I'll be here
Okay,
for
good.
a little while, but hope everyone is having a good Friday. I hope everyone just has like a good weekend. We need it. It's been like a really long week, so I'll be back later to talk about Friday cheer.
All right.
Sorry
Awesome.
about that, Tiff. I really
Yeah,
am. I did not mean to do that.
I love it. Okay, so I look forward to it. And like I said, I do appreciate your updates and your analysis, keeping us in the know of what's going on. And I love that you brought out because I do watch MSNBC, but like I know what I'm watching and what they're doing. And it's kind of like some of you go into some of these op spaces and places like this. I know. And it infuriates me. It really, really does make me angry. But I already know because I've been watching politics for a long time that this is what they do. They always make it a horse race. And so I love having people like Tip and Geechee and Shauna and others who are looking at other polls and analysis. I love having the voices from the people from those communities who can come in and give us that perspective and the energy that's on the ground because I know that however they're spinning it to create controversy. They don't really give a crap about us or, like the state of our democracy right now. It's still about the ratings for them. So. Thank you so much for coming and clarifying that.
Hey,
And
Dee,
mhm.
I'm going to throw it up in the jumbotron here in a minute, but I do want to talk about this. So one of the people that was arrested for uh, voting illegally in Florida
Thank you, Eugene.
DeSantis rounded up, it was thrown out, and the reason it was thrown out. Um, was that they had no jurisdiction in that in at least two judicial circuits. Well, they're saying that if most of these, if not all of them, are going to fall under this, so they're all going to get thrown out. So political stunt. This guy disrupted people's lives. Understand? Like you're going to work, you're trying to feed your family. You get arrested. What happens? You usually lose your job. The chaos that it just caused each one of these families of men or women that were trying to live the best life that they could after whether they made a mistake or not, whether it was true or not, they were doing the right thing. They were living their lives and being functional participants of society, and this man went in and absolutely illegally. Oh my god, I'm just mad. But anyways,
Yeah.
they,
Yeah.
they're they're getting thrown out, and like this, to use human beings like this man has done for his political stunts. Remember, this is the same man that took people out of Texas and flew them over to Martha's Vineyard, telling them a bunch of lies to get them there. I mean, this guy uses human beings, thinks that people of color, other human beings, are his to own and do with as he pleases. Please vote
Well,
this guy out.
yeah. Well, he has a little dictatorship going on down there. So thanks for the update, and we'll let Donna speak to that because she is there,
Oh
and
yeah,
then
Donna would know about this.
Allie.
Okay, thank you, Eugene. You just stole my thunder. But okay, I'll see
Well,
you
you just
tonight.
keep rolling that thunder along, Donna, because I'm mad.
They say I'll see you tonight. Payback. Yes. DeSantis was caught in his mess, which I was so happy about. And these 20 people were not out trying to vote illegally. They were told that they were eligible to vote. It was not something that they made up or something that they thought. They were told. And DeSantis still went after them, locked them up. Now it's their time to get back in court because They have to drop every last one of them. And Tiff, honey, I know you was mad because I was mad too. Talking about people, boys, and this and this and that. Well, I guess I'm a boy too then. But I'm happy to be a boy.
Well, I know he is just so ignorant. Like I said, he's just stupid. Oof,
I
no,
mean,
I
he talking about
can't.
if you can't produce children, then something. Okay, well, at one time I did, but now I can't, and I'm happy that I can't. I gave mine up willingly. After 4 transfusions, yes, I gave all that up. Didn't well, I didn't really need it anymore anyway, but still. How you gonna make that judgment on me? So I feel like this man, go get tea bags somewhere and leave us alone.
Yeah, this is the same man who, thinks China's sending their bad air over here. So, I just, like, after that, nothing that comes out of his mouth. Like I said, I'm still astonished that he was able to stand up on that stage in the debate and look halfway, like sane
D
when
D.
he is
You know they
totally
had him
insane.
on Adderall, at a band. They had he was so doped up. He probably
That
all
was
he
the
could
most
do.
amazing thing to me, and I'm like, "He doesn't look crazy. He's not sounding crazy." It's like, what is
I
going
told the
on?
girl they had him on all kind of mood modifiers to keep him calm. For he come out and say something real ignorant like he always does. So
Yeah, he
yeah.
is definitely not one who's gonna be able to speak off the cuff without, like, looking like the
But then
total.
too, but the way they were saying, well, well, Warnock should have did this or Warnock should have did that. Warnock played it cool. He couldn't go ahead him aggressively. Then they would say, well, you beating up on the mentally disabled. So I think Warnock played it right. Okay, just go ahead, because when he pulled out that damn badge,
Well, that right there, like I said, he played it enough to get him, and then whoever did created the meme with him and his badge and Roy Moore and
no, they got Eugene did one with Val Demings with a real badge. I was like,
Yes,
ooh,
and
ooh.
then she trolled him and did that one. I was like, yes. So, it may not have been, like knock you off your feet kind of performance, but he did enough to provoke him to bring his prop out, which has given so much mileage. And
I'm telling you, when he pulled out that badge, I said, oh, I'm dead. Because, I mean, that was just too good. I was like, well, if that's the case, Shaquille O'Neal could be a damn senator. If that little badge means something, because he has one.
I know, but
And who would want that fool as a senator?
but at least, like, if you broke down on the side of the road or whatever, he's the kind of man, he's gonna help you and try to do, like, who knows with Walker. Jeez, the man's a menace. But did you have
Well,
anything
He'd
else you
have to
wanted
check
to?
first to see if it was one of his kids.
Well, he would pass them by for sure.
well, that's a good thought. But no, if I saw Herschel Walker on, I don't care badge or no badge, I saw him on the dark road, I'd need tire tracks on him because he's not well, and I would not feel safe.
And Donna, I think that brings back the point of, like, Republicans keep abusing people that like, don't have the wherewithal to protect themselves from this kind of abuse. I mean, like, go do that to my grandma and put her out in front of she's like, sometimes she doesn't quite know what's all going on there, right? Like, go try to round her up and use her to put her out there in front of the world for your own benefit, so that people can laugh and have entertainment and see what happens. I'm going to come unglued on your ass. And I think that, like, we need to start, as Americans, start needed treating it that way, because
But
this
I'm
guy's just a
sorry,
straight
no,
up idiot.
Eugene, that's different. Your grandma, your mama, that's different. He's a willful idiot. He does this willingly. Ain't
Do you
nobody
think he
making him do
understands
this.
what he's doing?
Yes,
Do you?
I believe he has CTE, but he ain't completely damn crazy.
Okay, that changes that. Okay.
No, seriously, I believe he's a willful idiot, just like some other ones who have supposed to have mental issues. like Kanye. Yeah, I
You,
believe he knows exactly what he's doing as well, even though he's a little touch.
yeah, Kanye, I do believe knows what he's doing. I
No,
mean, that
no,
guy's running
his
the
name is not
empire.
Kanye. His name is Kanye. He conned y'all. So yeah, I know I don't feel sorry for neither one of them. I don't.
Okay. I'm always trying to look at the other side of it, you know. I, I,
Yeah,
I just,
I get
I
it,
get
but
mad
like
at
I said,
Republicans for using this stuff, right? Because it hurts everybody when they do this.
but I believe they are willing to be used. I'm saying for a person who is, I mean, like a person who really has some serious issues and they can't distinguish. These two fools can distinguish, but they are willing to
Okay,
be used. That's the difference.
And I
gotcha.
get it. Yeah. And I'm inclined to agree with you on that. Well, Donna, did you have anything else? Because we do have a few hands up. I am so glad that you came and shared with us. And I think that is great news because you know what? The thing that DeSantis did to those migrants turned out to actually be to their benefit. It seems like they got, like some express immigration relief because of it. And so, it backfired, and hopefully this will as well. But certainly, so glad that those uh,
Yep, all
things are
20
being.
of those cases have to be dismissed.
Hmm. I mean,
And
but we
folks,
know
go.
that in the end that that ultimately, whether or not it was valid, it served a point to kind of intimidate people, okay? Because it's out there, the potential, and it's going to make some people wonder whether or not they can. Is this going to happen to me? So
Oh, I
in
wish they
some
would
ways,
try that with me. I'm gonna be
I
on the news
know.
worldwide.
I mean, we know you will, but not everybody. Not everybody is ready to throw down. Like, or not everybody wants to be confronted like that for trying to do a simple thing as
Y'all
participating
would see
in
DeSantis get his
democracy.
ass whooped on national TV.
Well, he's not going to be the one coming, Donna. Okay.
Oh, but that's all right. They would have to let me out, and when they do, his ass better be missing.
And folks, this is why you need to attend tonight's music room. Donna is the DJ, and she don't mess around.
DJ Donna at the helm. All right, Donna, I got some hands. Stay up.
Okay, I
I
gotta
hope
go.
you
I got a
can.
2:30 Zoom meeting, so
All
if I
right,
have
we
to cut
love
out,
you.
I'll try to come back.
All right, I hope so. Thank you for coming and sharing that with us today. I appreciate it. And we'll see you tonight. Um, and we can see she's already bringing the violence. So Allie is next, then Susan, then Wendy, Sean, and Ghazi, and DePice.
Hey, you guys, thanks very much for letting me speak, and hello to everybody from across the ocean. Um, a couple of us were in the beginning of this New York Times room that was talking about things leaning red. And it was very interesting to me because the some of the analysts were talking about things, when people were canvassing, that folks were talking about their gas tanks and inflation and different things. And I was really struck by, I was waiting for the question about Dobbs and women's reproductive rights and stuff. And I was just thinking, as we're crafting our tweets in these next couple of weeks, let's continue to really push on like the human interest stories of what the reality is, both of the impact of the loss of these the variety of civil rights that have been lost, the Miranda rights, the voting rights, the Roe versus Wade rights, all of these issues that will impact people, their personal lives, and let's make them into the real story. I mean, I was thinking of writing something about if I had to have an unplanned pregnancy at 18, this is how much it would have cost me to raise a child versus this is how much I paid in student loans to go to college or something like that. I mean, the idea that this would not impact our lives as individuals is so strange to me. It's like, and it, again, it's a reflection to me of this white misogynist control of the press. It's just so blatantly skewed towards the far reality of what the rest of us are actually living and the choices that we would have to make, and the choices that those of you that are from groups that have suffered from white supremacy in this country are the elders have had to make, the elders have had to make and live through. It's so far from that. We're talking about gas prices versus abortions, or being able to vote. I mean, it is just astounding to me how they've managed to make it so abstract and away from everyday life. And again, I realize that because I'm over here and I don't see the day-to-day barrage of TV that you guys get. I mean, in Europe, people are talking about inflation all the time, but there's never a mention of taking away a voting right. There's never a mention of taking away the right for reproductive health choice. There is never a mention of, taking away rights for health care, different things. I mean, Social Security, how dare they? And that's something that everyone has paid into from the time you had your first paycheck. You paid into Social Security. It's insurance. It's owed back to you. And let alone the price of medications, like price gouging that's going on. It is just astounding to me. And I think if we can make them really personal in our tweets, and then, as opposed to like a general statement, let's say, this is how this would affect me. This is how this affected my mom, my brother, my sister, my whoever, different people, grandmother, grandparents. This is real life. Remember that. And we are not these, male board members of corporations who are managing to skate through this, and we will not accept it. It will not be acceptable. So I would just really encourage us to be really charged with the power of that emotion of what the reality of life is for 90% of us on the face of this earth, if not more. Because even though they control the mass media, we talk to each other and people talk. I heard somebody talking today in a space about what people are saying in France, and that they didn't have an idea what people are saying in France. Of course, people are upset about inflation, but they're not going to ever go in the direction of taking away voting rights. I mean, it's just craziness. It's absolute craziness. And that is controlled by the media. How they manage to do that is astounding. So, whatever voices we can do, that's great. Eugene, your suggestion about opinion pieces. Thank you so much, Tiff, for the things. So many of you put out so much great stuff that we can repeat and retweet. But I would really encourage us all to go ahead and say really personal things over these next weeks about what it means to us to lose these basic rights, and how we will not stand for it. We will not stand for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Allie. And it's true because all of it is personal, to some of us directly, some indirectly, either those that we know, family members, or members of our community. And those are the stories and the people that we need to highlight and show the things that they want to do, how they will be affected. And I appreciate you, Allie. So glad to have you in the conversation today. I'm going to move to our next hand. Thank you guys so much for having such a great conversation and so many people contributing to that to make it so. So up next, Susan, Shauna, Sean. I love it when all these S's come together. And Ngazi, DePice, and Miss Martine. Thank you.
Shh.
Hi, happy Friday, everybody. Wow, I love coming after Allie because I love how she focuses so much on messaging themes and clarifying themes to promote and messaging strategies, because that's what I love to focus on. And as I've said before, in spaces like this, I really go hard at trying to call out press and reporters for inaccuracy. And I was listening to that Twitter space that just happened, hosted by New York Times and Siena poll people. That was that terrible poll. That was a really small pool of people. It was less than 800 people. And then they came out with a national theme and generalized theme from that very small sample. And I kept calling out the poll that it was 71% white respondents. I have been tweeting at pollsters for a couple years now, saying, please include in your poll questions, asking the respondents to cite their regularly used news sources and where do they go for information. Because if we don't glean insights on how people are forming their opinions, we're missing the boat on insights about public opinion shaping powers and how that happens. And of course, I knew my blood pressure was going to rise listening to that space, and it did. So I was tweeting at the people on the panel saying, you didn't clarify that 71% of the respondents were white. You didn't clarify that it was a small pool. And then Blake Hausnell, the New York Times reporter, it's funny, I'm in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and if you couldn't tell by my Minnesotan accent. And then I found out he's in Minnesota now because he's following our attorney general race, which is Keith Ellison, who had been a congressperson from Minnesota. He became our state attorney general, and he's running for re-election. And he said he was here to follow that particular race. To my main point, though, is I do think that we are getting impacted by the effectiveness of the inaccuracy messaging about inflation and the economy. And so I would like to propose and suggest that we focus hard on a counterpunch on that no elected politicians, no people in switching out a few seats of some electeds in executive governments and lawmaking is going to significantly impact any macroeconomic trends. And I know that Democrats, if they said the truth, which is, I would actually encourage them to say this more, like a Pete Buttigieg might do this, is like when to counterpunch and say, well, that's really inaccurate because no person in executive government or policy making can significantly impact macroeconomic trends. So what I would propose that we do is when you tweet out messages about that, go find people that are saying that better and try to plant that in audiences and reshare and retweet and use that whenever you can. Or if you're countering or replying to it, try to clarify that. And that's kind of a nonpartisan way to counterpunch the Republicans' inaccurate messaging that they're implying, well, we can fix this. So, ways to do that is to tweet at Republicans saying, but, you haven't said any specifics on how an elected person would significantly reduce prices. We know that politicians can't set prices here. Government can't set prices. That's not how it works. Call out that they're not proposing anything specific that would do the things that they're criticizing about others. And also just keep clarifying for the general public, because I think this general public's misunderstanding and misconceptions about macroeconomic forces and trends and how things work in the world can easily be leveraged by politicians who don't tell them the truth, and they promise fixes for things that they cannot fix. And that's one area I do think Democratic messaging could be better in countering back. And I know it just takes a lot of guts to say the truth sometimes, because it's hard for any politician to say the truth about what can and cannot be done. But I feel like championing accuracy as a cultural value is a long-term requirement for sustaining a healthy democracy. Because as long as accuracy, when you speak accurately about something, even if it's stuff you don't want to hear, like, well, we can't really just make inflation go down quickly. That's not how it works. But but when we don't champion accuracy, it makes us more susceptible as a nation and as a public for politicians to then wield inaccurate information for power. So that's kind of my main thing. And then regarding Herschel Walker stuff, I put up in the nest some posts that I thought, well, they really moved me. And it was first of all, it was a woman, a Black author, who wrote an opinion piece for USA Today regarding how Herschel Walker is the illustration of all the worst stereotypes that our culture puts on Black men. And then Leslie Jones retweeted a guy who was speaking very eloquently about the same points. And so I put both of those posts up in the nest. And if you are so moved, I think that that would be great if they get a lot more exposure in front of more audiences. And so those were my main points for today. But I do think we really, like Allie was talking about, the abortion issue, the Dobbs thing, yes, it's economic. It affects the economic health and empowerment that a woman has to control. I mean, it is an economic issue beyond bodily autonomy, beyond the moral question of I just get to choose what happens to my body. So I love that she was hitting that, but I feel like also if we also don't include this counterpunch on the inflation and economy, that's a miss. So I feel like we have to try to keep a lot of balls in the air in terms of messaging angles. Thanks.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate that, and that is true. And I just would like to say that in doing that, there's a way that we need to do it because, like I said, I can't even remember who it was, but just observing personally for myself, like having the facts and the receipts and knowing this. And this was actually like a Republican who I heard talking, but it made sense. It's like um, you need to speak in language that people understand. So it ties into what you're both saying, but it's the manner in which you're doing it, knowing your audience so that you can relate it in ways that they can understand because giving out these kind of economic terms and this kind of stuff is not while we may understand it, if they don't, it does no good and the message is lost. So the principles that you speak of, for sure. It's that the way in which we implement them that we have to try to get better at. And that goes back to speaking to people and meeting them where they are. So, I appreciate you both. Great information. And Shauna is up next, and then Sean. And I'm going to drop a couple people down because I do have some folks requesting, and certainly, you can come back up. I love that you're all contributing so wonderfully to the conversation today. So, thank you again. Shauna, you're next.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm going to pick up on what Miss Donna was talking about in Eugene, the situation in Florida. That had me so irritated a couple days ago when I saw that. And this morning I was just saying, I hope that these people that were arrested aren't, discouraged from voting again. Because, that's the whole point. This is to cause voter suppression and intimidation. I could easily see someone saying, you know what, I'm not even going to try and vote again. This is too hassling. I don't want people messing with me, and I don't want anyone bothering me. I'm just trying to vote. But if they're going to try and come arrest me and I miss work or yada yada, I'm not even going to mess with it. And that was, the whole purpose. And I'm just like, this is all DeSantis' fault. And I really, really hope that he's replaced in a couple of weeks because this is unacceptable. I just, this reminds me that this is like, this sounds like a lynch mob or something from the 1800s when people were trying to vote, before they, I don't know, before they started I think like post Reconstruction,
I
before.
mean, well, the tactics are not new. It absolutely is, Shauna,
Right.
and
I'm
and
just
that's
like,
so it met its intended purpose, and that's to dissuade and scare people.
yeah, it's just really, so I'm really hoping that they're not discouraged from voting and that they understand that this guy is a dictator and he's just trying to stop people wherever he can. So I'm hoping that they hopefully they can get a lawsuit and get some money out of it
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, it's going to come from taxpayers. I wish it could come from DeSantis' own pocket since it's his fault, but I'm hoping that they see some relief from that because again, people miss work and all types of stuff, because of this nonsense. But another thing I did want to pick up on what Susan was just talking about. There was a poll from Texas today saying that Beto was 11 points behind, and I put a post out about that. I had a very small sampling size. I'm just there's people freaking out. I'm so happy to have had a space yesterday about it, and I don't know. I wouldn't pay too much attention to it. I mean, it does suck to see stuff like that, but when you see that they're not, asking very many people, I mean, what can you do? I mean, it's not a very huge sampling, and you don't know who they're even asking. I mean, you don't. It doesn't even show who they even asked, so you can't even know like if there's any people of color asked, any Latinos or Black people asked. So you don't even know. So there's nothing you can really go off of, just except that 800 some odd people were asked out of millions of voters that participate in that. Um, so just take it with a grain of salt. And I know it's hard to because it's getting down to the wire. Early voting starts on Monday, and we had very good turnout in 2018. That's the last time Beto was in the ballot against Ted Cruz. That actually, which is funny because his that race actually outperformed the governor's race that Abbott was in 2018. So I keep saying it's going to be funny because now they're running against each other. So this is going to be real interesting to see how this plays out this year. I'm really interested in seeing the Latino vote, how that plays out this year, because I was saying yesterday in TIFF space in the Texas space last night that Beto won 65% of the Latino vote, but Abbott only got 50, or no, he only got 42% of it, 42 or 44% of it. So, but now since they're running for governor against each other, I don't know how that's going to work. Um, so we'll see how that works. But then, as far as what Susan was saying about Democrats' messaging and the inflation, I mean, I think they have the message already. They all voted for the Inflation Reduction Act, and most Republicans didn't. So I think Fish was saying, or someone was saying yesterday in here, they need to embrace that. I don't know how they craft that into a message, but they need to embrace that they voted for that, and most of the Democrats also voted for Build Back Better, which would have made the child tax credit permanent, and that would have kept people having money for their children with these what's going on right now. So they could have I think they should take that message and make something out of it. I don't know how to craft that into a soundbite, but they should definitely talk about that and say, hey, we voted for these things and Republicans didn't. So people could
Right.
have had extra money for their children each month while gas was these prices just to keep during these times, but Republicans said no. But at the same
Right.
time, I also had a tweet about this. I mean, I think the problem here is that you can't outmessage white fear and that type of thing. So even if that type of message and you have, well, we could have increased or kept the child tax credit going, the only thing some people hear is that, okay, you gave Black people a bunch of extra money each month, or we could
Right.
have kept
So
this going or that. So, I mean, that's the thing. There's no counter message for that. And I don't think, when people say Democrats have a bad messaging problem, I don't think that necessarily, because there's not really a message that you can compare with racism. I mean, that's what the GOP uses every single time, and it works. That's why our elections are always so close when they shouldn't be. We should never lose an election on issues, but they're close because people believe caravans and all types of racist tropes, and it works each time. So I don't know.
right.
I'm not
Well,
sure.
I appreciate it.
Anyway,
I do have a few hands up, but
yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
all I had. I know
thank
I'm
you so
rambling.
much. Great points. I want to get to DePice, who has, I know, some great points and has to go, and then I'll come back to you, Sean, um, Wendy, and Gazze. Okay, DePice, please share.
Hi, Dee and Eugene and
Hey,
everyone else, and I'm going to be real quick. Can you hear me?
yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The first thing I wanted to bring up is what's going on here in Georgia, and as reported by the AJC and people I've been arguing with on this platform and other places, is that the narrative is changing, and people, at least the right wingers here, and the media is starting to say that the new Georgia voting law is effective because more people are coming out to vote in record numbers. That is absolutely not the case. The law is still, and if you don't mind, Dee, I want to use some spicy language. Can I? Is that okay with you, or should I
Yes,
clean it up?
sir. Yeah, go
It's
ahead.
okay. It's
Yeah, I
shit.
mean, you're from Georgia. Yeah, and people need to know because it's awful. And we started talking about these Georgia voting restrictions and things early on in this space. It was what gave it a lot of energy. And so,
Oh,
thank you. Please continue.
okay. So the new law is shit. It was shit when it was passed. It's still shit today as we're in the middle of early voting. The fact of the matter is, most people are pissed off, they're angry, and they're voting in spite of the new law. And I got into a lengthy argument where the guy called me, what did he call me, a dumbass? Oh, yeah, he called me a dumbass and said, well, the numbers are, and that's how these simpletons think on the right. I'm sorry. Because there's more numbers, the law is working. No, it's not, because we still have 7 drop boxes in the entire Fulton County. If anyone knows anything about Fulton County, it's divided up in North Fulton County, which is where I reside, and South Fulton County. And those are very huge areas. And there's only 7 drop boxes. So that does not hold. It was a suppression. The whole law is about suppression. They didn't know that they would tick off. They thought people, people of color and, black people and Asians and our Latino brothers and sisters, they would go around with their heads cut off, not knowing what to do, but regalvanized behind several movements here to get out the vote and vote for who we need to get in office. And despite that, despite the long lines and early, let me emphasize early voting, people are coming out and they're voting. And that's number one. So that whole narrative about, oh, the law is working, bullshit. The second thing I want to go to is what I think it was Susan. Susan, I want to give you credit because that's exactly where I was going. The what Democrats have to do is tie inflation to women's reproductive rights, because at the end of the day, they're not mutually exclusive. They are. It is a, one affects the other, or the other can affect. It can go vice versa. And what's happening is over 50% of the reason for inflation is related to price gouging, plain and simple. If you want to get an idea of what would happen if the Republicans got in charge, look at our brethren across the sea, across the ocean in Great Britain. They applied austerity measures. Those austerity measures have rippled and tore up their economy, and they're running around with their heads cut off, not knowing what to do. And that's what we would face if we let the Republicans take control of the economy. They would increase tax cuts. The Trump cuts are permanent, but they would even make them deeper. Who's going to pay for all that? They're going to cut social programs, and they're going to hit the middle class and the low working class and people of poverty. That's what they're going to do. In addition to the fact that they want to cut Social Security and Medicaid. So that message can be made. I just made it. Now make it plain. Don't make it complicated. The companies are raising, it used to be okay to make 6% profit. It used to be okay to make 10% profit. Now these companies want to make 30 and 40% profit. Make it plain. That's all I got, D. Thank you for letting me cut the line.
All right, I appreciate you, DePice. Yeah, and like you said, it's asinine that they're trying to say that those laws work. But I do want to tell you guys, I pulled up on my TV here Our Natalie James is currently in a debate. Thanks, Don, for giving me a heads up. Turned it on, and a few people have gone to listen. But she is debating, and hopefully, we'll be able to get some reports on it. And we're sending her, all of our thoughts and wishes to knock it out the park. So I wanted to say that before I go to the next person, which is Sean. Then Ngazi, Wendy, Miss Martine. Sean.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were listing off some more people or not. I just wanted to come back up to emphasize an article that Tiff posted yesterday evening about the judge dismissing the challenge in the GOP states regarding the student debt relief program that Biden and Harris put up, and how grateful we are that they know that you have to have legislation to do these types of things and not just the flick of a pen, as some of the other so-called legislators like to tout. So I just wanted to say that. And also, if I were a real man, even though I don't have children and I was born a female, I would still be more of a man than Herschel Walker. Because if I had kids, I would take care of them. But anyway, thanks for allowing me to speak, and I'll go back down to listener.
Well, thank you, Sean. You have shared some great information with us today. And yes, we do need to remember that. And again, just kind of keep circulating these narratives, the truthful narratives, knowing what it is and hoping that it bubbles up to mainstream media. But certainly if it doesn't, we know their place as far as providing information. I think Tip spoke to it yesterday. Danny speaks to it with many other voices in our spaces on Sunday. They're not helping us. And when they're not, we're going to call them out, but we're not going to be deterred, and we're not going to let them wreck the narrative, the truthful narrative. So thanks so much, Sean. Up next is Ngazi, then Wendy, Miss Martine, and Adam.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come up in the space, and thanks for hosting this space today. I really only raised my hand to speak to the mental health piece regarding Herschel Walker and Kanye. So, yes, Herschel Walker is like the embodiment of every negative stereotype of Black men in this country. But also, this man, as far as he has told us by his own admission, has a diagnosed severe and persistent mental illness called dissociative identity disorder. So this is not like dementia. This is not like depression or something else like that. This man, when he gets over this, will have breaks with reality. What happens if somebody has any break with reality? They don't always come back all the way the same. This is kind of like you can kind of tell with his speech a bit. It's very slow and lumbering. He's got a very flat affect. These are all side effects of some of the medication that's used to treat DID. And so, yeah, for sure in that debate, they probably had him on a ton of stuff to make it through the debate. But what's really gross about it, besides the stereotype, is the fact that this man does have a severe and persistent mental illness. That being a U.S. senator is a stressful job. This is not the person.
And that's where the abuse comes in.
Anybody who cares about this man should have stood up and said, "We're not doing this." I don't know. And I agree with Donna. He's definitely agreeing to this. He's not being by the nose. Um, it's whatever they sold him to get him to agree to it. Somebody who cares about him though should have stepped up and said, "Herschel, this is probably not the best from where he's at mentally. Um, and it's just going to get worse. Actually, even during the debate, you could see him begin to sundown in the debate. So, and this is very similar to Kanye. So Kanye, again, this is just basically he's telling us, I'm not diagnosing either of these people, has bipolar disorder. Again, his seems to come with psychotic episodes. He's been hospitalized a few times already, from what we can understand from just public reporting. And it's the same thing. Every time he has a break with reality, Kanye's not coming back the same every single time. And so the struggle with bipolar disorder and people who have that disorder is they have a really hard time staying consistent on their medication. And so that's when we start to see a lot of Kanye's more wilder behaviors. And then we feed him with all his narcissism, with all the attention that makes him convinced that I don't need medicine. He's getting medicine from news coverage he provided. And so I just kind of wanted to speak to, want to be really careful with how we're talking about mental health and mental illness, because these are real things that regular people who aren't multimillionaires or attempted senators deal with and struggle with without the same resources. DID is really, really hard. It's hard on the person who has it. It's hard on the family members who love them. Same thing with bipolar disorder. And they don't get to have somebody swoop in with millions of dollars to rescue them or pull them out or write down negative stories about them in the town that they live in. So, yeah, it's difficult because, it comes with some great news for sure. But there are real people behind these mental illness labels. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate it. And like I said, I do that is where, like I said, for me, the abuse comes in, and that is the horribleness of it all. And I do believe that he is, witting, but it's still shame on them for doing it, and him not having anyone there to stand up and advocate for him and his mental health. So thank you so much, Wendy, then Miss Martine, Adam, Charles, and Susan.
You can pass around me for a while. I'm inside a grocery store.
Okay. Miss Martine, you're up next.
Thanks, Dee. Hello, everybody. I thought I heard Allie's voice as I wasn't looking at the phone when the person was speaking, but they were speaking to the cost of abortion and having forced birth on you. And many of you know I come from a very conservative Catholic dim home, and the ladies in my church, there's a group of ladies in my church who are Republicans, and they asked me to make a t-shirt for them. And they asked me to put the cost of what forced birth would basically cost a young lady from the time of birth to the child is 18. And they also wanted me to put their names on the back, and they shared with me how many abortions that these Republican conservative women have had on their back to a number. The one lady had the most, she had 4, but they were between 1 and 4 abortions, and these are conservative women. Now, the cost, I went and researched it, and the cost for a woman to rear a child from age 0 to 18 in the United States is on average $324,000 over that period of 18 years. So just to let her know that's what I researched, that amount is $324,000 over that 18-year period. And just speaking to what Miss Mama Donna was talking about, as far as if you want to scare someone who has done their time and now has the ability to vote, threaten their safety and threaten them to go back to jail. That's the easiest way to keep somebody from exercising their right
Right. They
to
did
vote.
what it was intended to do so
Exactly.
that others like them will now doubt. It's how they have played this
Hmm.
election integrity game all along. And speaking to what DePice had said, like Stacy said in her debate to him, like, like, which one is it? You say the election was totally like it was good. There were no problems, like the election that they had between them. But then now you're saying that you need to institute all these laws to ensure that the election is fair. Now, which one is it? Either it wasn't then, or you're lying now. So, you just can't have it both ways, but they keep trying to do that. And so go ahead, Miss Martine. I'm sorry, but yeah.
No, no, you're absolutely right. It goes back to things that happened in the past. They always go back to that playbook, and all they do is just repurpose it, right? So this is just their new age of their Jim Crow tactics. We see it, and we should call it out every time we see it. Keep allowing DeSantis to get away with this crap.
Yeah, his Gestapo police force, that's another intimidation
Absolutely.
mechanism. And the ones who don't have a police force, what they do have are those election poll workers, who some of them are, probably not abiding by all of the rules and regulations that they should. And in some states, they have Republican legislatures who are actually trying to, wipe any regulations and controls around them away. So again, all of this it's not new.
It's
So
not new. It's not new. And as far as what Ngazi was talking about, as far as Herschel and his mental capacity, his son said in that video, a lot of the news media didn't play the sound. They showed the video, but some of the news casters didn't play the actual audio. They just showed the guy talking. And in that video, because I watched them all, that young man said that the family members told him and they pleaded with him not to run.
I remember that.
So there are some people in his family that actually care about him. Even though we had to learn that through his son having a rant, at least there
Excuse
is
me,
somebody
D.
who cares
Excuse
about
me, D. Can you tell Wendy to mute her mic? Because I can
Uh,
barely hear Miss
okay.
Martin.
Thank you. Sorry. I thought it was Miss Martine. Sorry guys. Wendy, you have got to, yeah. This Please just be cognizant. Thank you. I know it happens by accident sometimes. Continue, Miss Martine. Thanks for the heads up, Charles. I was away from my looking away. I thought it was Miss Martine.
Oh
So
no, sorry, sis. I don't know what you didn't hear, but I was just saying that Herschel Walker's son did say in one of his videos that the family members were stressing and pleading with him not to run because of his mental problems. So at least we did find out that there are some people who actually care about the man and his family. He just didn't listen because he wants that spotlight.
and
So
that's where
that's
the
all I have. But
wittingness, yeah, and that's where the wittingness comes in, because oftentimes that is the case. Oftentimes people's family member do try to help them and stop them, but when people are grown and they have control of their own life, all you can do is try to tell them, and try to stop other people from actually taking advantage of them. But at the end of the day, they still have free will. So thank you so much. I'm so glad that you came up and shared with us today. Always lovely to have your voice added to our conversation, and great points. So thank you again.
thank
Hey,
you.
Natalie or D, I want to say real quick, I'm dipping in and out of Natalie's debate, and she's doing really good, and
Well,
she's
that is
getting.
good. That's good
I
to
just
hear.
want to give that little report in.
All right. So
She's
up next,
obviously very prepped, and that impresses me that she was this prepped.
well, I expected no less. So I'm looking forward to, like I said, watching it and hearing reports and things on it. So maybe we'll get some before we close today. But until then, we'll continue on with our conversation. I have it tuned in. I have it on and just have it turned down. Adam is next, then Charles, and then Susan.
Hey Dee and Eugene and everyone else. Yeah, I was in that New York Times race too, and I wanted to at least hear a little bit about what they were saying, and whoever the anonymous Twitter user was that asked them to cite the news source from their one poll that they were taking from, I really appreciate that, and feeling it was someone in this room, and I think it was a great idea.
Susan. Susan, I think she said she did.
Uh, well, thank you, Susan. Um, and I'm starting to see the tactics ramp up, like from yesterday when I was in here towards the end of the space. In the last maybe 14 hours, all of a sudden, everyone in Arizona that they wouldn't accept the R next to the name. They said, well, if you're an election denier, we're not going to accept this. Now all of a sudden, the governor, which is his last term, who has an R next to his name, who is the one who took dark money from to cut off solar and a number of other. I don't even want to go there. But now he's put his past behind him for the governor running Kerry. Not going to say her last name, but with an R next to her name. And it's the tactics are ramping up, and you can be very effective. Uh, you know, especially when they know the stats on how particular people vote on election day, which is fine. It's the right. It's great. I don't know why you would stick it in the mail, but whatever. Okay. Um, but it's just like the most corrupt people that we saw during 45's administration, Orange Man. Um, we are now seeing all of a sudden uh like change or tune a bit. Like they're a little bit worried uh, that Senator Mark Kelly, Commander Mark Kelly, Navy veteran Mark Kelly is going to win. They're a little bit worried that a Democrat is going to win the governorship of the state of Arizona, which I mentioned towards the end of the space yesterday. That hasn't happened in quite a while. And it's nothing that was not expected. It was, if the New England Patriots can use intelligence officers to win football games, you know, I knew, talking about this a long time ago, in this exact space, exactly that odds that we were going to see, and where this dark money is coming in from, and it's just making me sick to my stomach. And on a serious note, there's a lot of us are working very hard, but you know these pledges mean absolutely nothing, which I think we know, um and it's just it's such an important thing because next year we see, we have, yes, it's a Democratic Senator, Kristen Sinema, but we know she has not voted, or she has held up some certain votes. And
She the problem. She's an
yeah, I
op
mean,
at this point.
yeah, I just can't even, it's. where to begin with that. But you know, and there's just this. I mean, I guess I would say like maybe I expect that in Arizona, but I don't want to expect that in any state. Like, no,
We shouldn't have to. And Adam,
Zach.
let me ask you what it looks like on the ground there. Let me mute my TV because I'm trying to listen to Natalie. But and these are her closing statements. But I saw that the DOJ is looking into the ramped up activity at the election, toward the election workers there. They say that Arizona is the top state in the country that
It is.
is having this. And we know that they have, those Wild Wild West gun laws.
Yes. And so okay, so basically, I mean, where do you want me to begin there?
Just,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
just give us a recap of kind of, if the local media is
no,
covering this and
they're not
how they
covering.
are.
They're
They're
not.
not?
No,
Okay.
not
And
no.
and those are a lot of Republican owned kind of dark money media stations. Okay. So are people in your community discussing it, and how, if they are, what's their feeling and their emotions around this? Because whether or not, we know that whether or not the media is reporting on something, we live in our own communities and realities, so we know what's happening. So what do
We're
the people
we're
that you encounter?
so among Democrats and independents that's skewed towards voting for a Democrat. It is highly talk. We're talking about it all the time now. I When I try to like get some like at least some like understanding of like where the mindset is at on the right side, or I don't even know what side, um the GQP side. Yeah. um they're just
They're
they
dug in, right?
yeah,
they,
they're
they
doing anything they can to win. And
okay.
we have these weird like gun fairs.
Mm-hmm.
uh and I know there are other states that have them, but like like basically the people that they're hiring, I want to say hiring, like the people that are volunteering that they're accepting, like they're purposely putting the people that are they're gonna be wearing, like when I say like you can walk into a Jamba Juice and see someone with a gun, like so you're gonna know you're gonna see like they think they're like enforcers. They
Mm-hmm. So
like
are they around the election, like around the polls area? And when does your early election start?
so the
Or have they
mail-in
started?
ballots already started. And that's how I vote. In terms of, we're still talking about the like, so yesterday after the space I went, there was an event, and I was trying to find the mic that I was trying to explain how the Republican running for governor here is wears her own personal mic, and her husband is videotaping everything, and then tries to turn it all around. So I went and tried to find this mic, and I mean, this mic is that of like something that like it's the size of like a button. It is so small, and it purposely blends in. So like I want to say that part. And then in terms of this is well into 2021, we had people talking about China dropping off a million or so votes. And I mean, they were inspecting this. Maricopa County had 5 6 recounts, and Katie
Yeah.
Hobbs, who is the Democratic, not nominee or running for governor on the Democratic side, she's the one who stopped it. I mean, Secretary of
Right, and
State.
that's why they're so coming after her so fiercely because they really tried every trick in the book. And we do have some other hands up, but I just
Yeah.
kind of wanted you to touch on that
So
and
it is a very threatening.
environment.
Yes,
Okay.
and it's been made very clear. Um, as much as like you can't hand a glass of water to somebody in Georgia, that we're gonna see extreme, you know, uh,
Tactics. Hmm.
yes, use. So countering that is like, obviously we don't want fights to break out there. But we are using technology in every way possible to, from like the neighborhood watch apps to
Yeah.
to get the mess out the one. And there's so much more to it. It's just, but
Right.
yeah, it's
Oh,
it's sad. And democracy has to be, it's what
mm,
we need first, and then we can move
that's
forward for changing, uh
right.
equal change and equal rights, and et cetera, et cetera. And then can I just touch on one last thing? I know I took up a little bit more time today.
Yeah.
um Roe versus Wade, like, I understand, some people, okay, like, freedom of speech, but there's also a lot to do, like, with, and you've touched on this in this space, but like, remember, it's also about privacy. Like, is HIPAA next? Like, what's next? Like, and so I think, as men, like, and I know we've all talked about this, like, it's our duty to stand with women, our friends, our family, etc., to make sure that people are able to vote, safely. And we're working on it. So
All right, thanks, Adam. And yes, and because Roe actually was won on the Privacy Act, so it definitely is center to that issue. So thank you so much, and I appreciate you coming and joining in the conversation and keeping us updated on how things are going there in Arizona. And I continue to pray for you and the other citizens because I know it has to be a very kind of volatile time. So up next, we've got Tamina, then Susan, Sweet Pea, and Allie.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, and wherever else you are in y'all diaspora. Hey, listen, Natalie just wrapped up, so I think we should all drop a line in her DM or on her page and show her some support and some love. I caught bits and pieces of it because she was doing she's done phenomenal. To me, it sounds like when she started out, she was like a little bit nervous, but she got in her groove in the end, especially when something stupid come up. That's what sisters do. We don't have tolerance for BS. But as far as the voting thing concerned and the polling, I don't believe in the polls. I think I told y'all more than once when they set up here and said that Hillary was going to do this and that, and Hillary's going to win, and they failed to tell us that 53% of the white women voted for her. They told us the night of the election when it was too late. So polling is boring as far as I'm concerned, because here in Michigan, Gretchen is winning. They say by 2 points, but just a couple of days ago it was 11 points. My candidate is up by 23 points. So Michigan have 1.2 million ballots that are out, and well over 450,000 has been turned in. Most of them from the west state of the west of Michigan. But see, they're counting those out there because of the fact that's who they paying to. When they sitting up, paying attention to rather. When they talking about what is more important, they need to talk about what pissed you off more. Because I'm gonna tell you now, it all depends on where you're at, who you talk to and who's answering the phone, male or female, because we always going to be in inflation. We're in a pandemic, damn it. I mean, come on. When we first got into the pandemic, everybody had a pause. They got to the point.
That is in part also why it's global.
No
That
kidding.
and the war.
Tariffs
Hmm.
and the tariffs. We forgot about those now. That fat rat bastard put tariffs on China back when as soon as he got in office. Then he
And
turned around.
let's not forget about their GOP tax scam.
That's
Okay,
exactly was I was going there. What as permanent, right?
right, for them, but not for the rest of us.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you. So I don't understand why everybody have this psychosis of short-term memory. I also remember in the Bush years when they were red light and people were moving out of their houses, walking away from their mortgages. We were almost shut down if it wasn't for Obama in 2009 on up to try to make recompense for the people who were affected by it. If everybody would do their doggone history, when any time a Republican administration is in office in this country, it always goes to shit. And then the doggone Democrats will come in and sweep it up. Now,
left holding the bag and taking and getting the blame.
thank you so much. But and see, let me and let's and everybody know, y'all not slow. Nobody on this page is slow. Y'all know what the heck we came out of in 2016. We got Trump out so doggone fast he didn't get a chance to wipe his feet to go to the helicopter. He was so
But he had
indignant.
time to steal some documents, but
Right,
he probably had
still,
those packed away already. He was
really,
packing them out probably weeks before.
still in documents, still in murals, still in paintings. You know what? I'm like, everybody should do an inventory of the White House. I still say that's what they should be doing.
They do
But
that. They do. That is part of the transition. There's a
yeah,
team that does
as soon
that.
look, D, I'm talking about when as soon as he stepped on the helicopter, I would have had a list right there about the
I got you.
and had a magnet wand, patted him and down, and Melania, who probably would have liked it. I would have checked him from rooter to tutor, because they ain't about nothing. But see, Biden had to come in there and clean up all that, and still is cleaning up, as well as the Democratic Party cleaning up the mess that he deliberately left behind. And now the Republicans talking about inflation, like this fool on Natalie James, the Republican side, talking about some 7 months we've been in inflation. No, fool, we've been in inflation since the pandemic, and that's what they want to sit up here and use that to omit the fact that Roe versus Wade screwed them. They screwed
Hmm.
the
And,
pooch with
and
that.
the other thing is that none of the Republicans signed to stop the price gouging. I mean,
Yep.
that is where a lot, like my senator Blackburn likes to talk about, the price of gas and groceries and whatever. You voted no on stopping price gouging. And it's very clear that a lot of the prices that we are paying is because companies are taking that as a profit. It's not because they have to. It's not, some, supply, hiccup problem or whatever. That's them gouging us because they can.
And not just that, they don't understand the schematics of OPEC, right? OPEC does not have any type of regulation as far as who gets what. And on top of that, you guys, you forget during the Russian and Ukraine war, what? Russia is part of OPEC. So let's do some research. Let's do some dumping and diving and doing some documents and dictate stuff before we dummy down what's going on in this nation. Quit listening to other folks that don't know anything about politics and telling y'all. I'm not telling. I'm for some people. They're sitting up
Preaching
here,
to the choir, you know it.
honey. They sitting up here talking this rhetoric, and guess what? They ain't got no skin in the game. They have no skin in the game. You have to watch who's holding these spaces. You have to watch who's telling y'all, well, what am I going to benefit from voting Democrat? Because guess what? 9 times out of 10, a fool talk like that ain't got no skin in the game, because a fool wouldn't sit up here and omit what's going on with everybody else. That is an untouched, unthinkable person. And I
or
wouldn't listen to him.
themselves, because it's like self disenfranchised wittingly, like.
And that's exactly what it is. And let me tell you something else, D. When you see this libertarian now, He a good looking guy with them blue eyes. He's a good looking guy now. He a good looking guy, but he got this niche. You know how a rat, sit up there and twitch his nose? And I'm like, that's a dead giveaway anyway. And all these libertarians coming out here, all they doing is splitting the vote. They are closet freaking
Exact.
Republicans.
Yes, they're not closeted. They're just more extreme. Like they're
Oh yeah.
they're more extreme because they don't want regulation on anything.
No, they
When it
want the
comes to
people.
them, yes, when it comes to them, they would wipe away all of the regulations, and we would have like regional provinces and territories that then decided how, like, this communal decision on how the government would be structured, but very, very, like, in very, like, minute kind of things, almost
And,
tribal like,
and, and no plan, no contingency plan whatsoever. They just run it for
Just the
seats.
idea, just the idea. And what people fail to realize, Hitler came from Austria, and the Republican economic plan is an Austrian economic plan. And let's remember and make people understand that what Truss tried to do over there is the commitment to America that McCarthy and his crew is trying to push on us. You see what happened over there? It's no different. And people need to understand that. And I wish the media would speak to that more. But, that's why
You,
we're
you,
here.
you know what? You know what? I bet you went because she went to go talk to King Charles. King Charles probably. I would like to bet a fly on the wall to hear that conversation because at first I was listening to the radio yesterday because one of my sons got a new car, so we're in it. You know how new cars and new kids get. And next thing I know, they said, we're going to have a report about Truss refusing to resign. She's very adamant to it. And then next thing you know, a commercial and a half back. Well, breaking news, Truss resigned. I bet you King Charles said, listen here, you nutty professor. You need to get on to get to stepping, or you might come up, having an accident, falling out of a hospital balcony with 18 holes in you and talking about suicide. But anyway, and I digress. But finally, let me tell you something. It's hard out here to campaign, but do what you can. Do what you can. I've been campaigning since last year, maybe 2018, and I haven't stopped. And it seems like to me the more detriment, which every election is more detriment than most because you see right now the people on the other side did not like the outcome. So therefore, they're going to use everything in their toolbox to use against us to prohibiting certain folk in certain faction to vote.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna have to when you go out here and vote. When you go out, I was telling people yesterday, if you don't vote for yourself, vote for your neighbor, vote for your family, because there's somebody in your family that is affected by what's going to be the outcome in November. And if you withhold your vote, you are not taking care of business when it comes to your family nor your legacy. It's imperative that everybody get out and vote. If you can't do one thing, if you can't help the campaign, if you can't pound the canvas, if you can't make phone calls, if you can't sit up here and pass out signs even, vote. That is more important than a little bit. If you can't do that, if you do your part, we'll be all right. Ain't no way in the world this nation should be on edge the way we are, arguing amongst ourselves, talking to ridiculous people, trying to convince otherwise, listening to celebrities that don't have no skin in the game. If you do your part, it won't be an argument. Stop all this bickering with other folks that don't have nothing to do with what we're trying to get done. Just say, hey, you don't want to do nothing. Get out the way. We got stuff to do. We got stuff to do. Quit wasting your time and energy because we're going to
Right.
need it all November 8th.
Yeah. I mean, we need it now because we need that energy to get us to the
To
win
get there.
November 8th. That's why we don't have time to waste on people who, if you're withholding your vote, then shut up, move over.
Oh,
Because
sister,
people
say
who
that
don't
again.
vote don't have any reason to express anything, as far as I'm concerned, about what's going on. If you're not participating, you're part of the problem, and
Right. Go
come,
to a
come
town hall meeting. You
yeah.
can't go to a town hall meeting. Make a phone call to to the people that represent you.
Yeah, but
Remember, you are the government, not them. You just put them in
exactly,
place.
for the people, by the people. Our democracy is shaped by us. And that's why we gather here every day to do the work, because it's not just about talking, it's about, like what
About
you said,
doing.
campaigning and doing whatever is necessary, whether that's having conversations with people in your community or your family, because most of the people in here have always been engaged citizen. And
Hmm.
the conversations that we have here is to help people to continue to be engaged and inspired, and to engage others, because this election is going to determine whether or not we have a democracy. But the work does not stop, because we know that, November 9th, there is going to be chaos. And we
Honey,
still have an election for a presidential election in
it
2024.
doesn't
The
stop.
the work continues, and we
Yep,
have to continue educating people, so that, it's the ripple effect,
it
because
doesn't stop.
they have worked very hard to create this cultish army of ignorance that is determined to destroy democracy, simply because some of them don't quite understand it, but they'll get it when they don't have it. And
Well,
but I'm not trying to let them, get us to
get
that
it. No,
point.
not that easy without a fight. President Obama is going to be here next week. I will give y'all a full report once I get it in hand. But thank y'all for letting me speak, and do the right thing, y'all. Do the right thing. Try to. Y'all know some out of all the people in here, y'all know about 3 to 7 people who are Republicans, and you got and even some of them, you won't be able to change their minds. So just move on. Don't waste any time. I thank y'all. Y'all have a blessed Friday. Thank you, Eugene. Thank you, Dee.
Thank you, sis.
Thank
I
you, Tamina.
appreciate you.
We're
Yeah.
glad you're here.
Absolutely. And you have a great weekend. Keep doing what you're doing. We need you. We need everybody's efforts. So up next we've got Susan, then Sweet Pea, and then Allie. And again, you guys, you know the rules here. Don't be shy. Come on up and join us in the conversation. It's been a great one, and it is Friday, and I do want to give a shout out to the music space. DJ Donna was in here earlier. She was pretty feisty. But um, what's somebody is going to need to give me the title for the
That's what we love.
space.
That's what we love about her.
Mm-hmm. So, but anyway, we're going to continue with the hands. It's Susan, Sweet Pea, and then Allie, and then Graham.
Hi, thanks for letting me come back up, Dee. I just it looks like Shauna and D Spice might have dropped off, but I wanted to respond to some comments that they made and agree with them. They made some great comments. We've talked a lot. I talked earlier about this being the importance of counterpunching on the inaccurate messaging from Republicans on that they're better at controlling inflation and the economy and things like that. And Shauna brought up a valid point that it's often used as a veil or a disguise that they're voting on economic issues when they're really voting on visceral fears about not having a white majority nation, fear of immigrants, things like that. And I fully understand that. And I live and work in a very white majority community here in Minnesota. And the area I try to work on is the swing and independent voters. And I cannot know all the time if some of those suburban voters, if they really believe that the main message from Republicans as a brand is that the Republican Party has been very effective at saying we're better at managing the economy, even though the data we know does not back that up. And the theme as a brand for the Republican Party, and that's the thing that's hounded on, is that government spending causes inflation. Well, economic trends and forces are really complicated, so it's hard to have a concise message to counterpunch on that, because some government spending might contribute to inflation. In fact, it did globally. Many nations, including the UK and others, with the PPP loans from the Trump administration, they pumped cash into the economy to keep it afloat. That was not a bad thing. We understand why they did it. It might have been a contributing factor then, because people were spending and that causes prices to rise. So things are complicated. So it's hard to talk about these things simply. But what I want to say is that whether Republicans and people who lean Republican voting are saying that they're voting on economic issues, or whether they're using it as a cover-up and a veil for voting for worse reasons, and they're using it as an excuse because they really do have racist and bigotry motivations, whether they're implicit or explicit to themselves, because I do think people fool themselves about having those feelings as well. Either way, we have to, by counterpunching and saying lawmakers cannot significantly impact macroeconomic trends, the Oval Office cannot significantly impact, it still cuts their messaging, whether they're using it as a cover-up and a veil, or whether they actually believe it and buy it. So I still think it's worth doing a counterpunch on it. So I just wanted to say that I understand that it gets used as an excuse, and that people are saying that out loud, that that's their reason for voting, but that's not really their reason for voting. I get that. But undercutting the argument is still worthwhile doing, because they're saying, well, you're not using a valid reason then. And that I was trying to remember what I was going to, anyways. And another thing I want to clarify is when I say something is effective, that does not mean I agree with it or that it's noble or good or ethical. An effective messaging strategy is just whether
It
it's
did its job.
yeah, it's persuading its targeted audience. So it's really important that we do acknowledge what is effective. Like when clients come to me, the first questions I ask them, they say, we want to work on our brand. We have a complex organization. We have trouble getting the audience to understand what we do and the benefits of what we do, da, 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 da. The first thing I want to know from them is, what are your challenge points? What are the people say about you what do they get wrong? And, that we structure our messages around what are the people that you think are worth trying to persuade, because we all agree in this space that not everybody's worth trying. But you can't win general elections without getting some independent and swings. You have to win at the margins, because everything is so tight. And so I do think it's worth looking at what is effective, what's working for the other side, and then construct your response exactly to hit what is being effective from the other side. And that's one thing I think the Democrats can do a little bit better. I understand there's too many things to go into why it's easier to message from the Republican Party as a brand, because they're just like, government sucks. Okay, that's really easy to leverage. It's really easy to leverage bigotry and hate. All the things, they don't promise that government can do anything. So how easy is it to promise, like, well,
yeah,
we're going to be in effect, government sucks, so we don't have to promise any solutions or anything. So there's so many reasons why branding for them on their side is easier, while Democrats have a larger tent, more complex messaging. They try to address more complex issues. They actually try to work on solutions. Everything is more nuanced and complex. So of course the messaging is more difficult to get across in a really clear, honed way.
but
Anyways.
what? Yeah, thank you. Very good point. But I would say that Val Demings did a great job of doing that in her debate, and how we address some of that, because that is part of the problem, is we try to get too far in the weeds and explaining things to people or whatever. And at this point, they're talking there, meaning the Republicans, their talking points are not new. Their tactics aren't new.
Correct.
We need to change ours. And I think, like I said, Val Demings gave us a blueprint. I've seen, other, politicians kind of respond with that kind of passion, and batting that away, but doing it in such a way that it resonates with people, not a bunch of facts and figures, but hitting on those topics in a way that hits home.
And responding in short, succinct replies, I think, is good
Right.
too. So when
Mm-hmm.
somebody, a politician, is posting something about usually criticism of Democrats, because they never really post about what they're going to do, you just counter back with a reply, well, lawmakers don't have that authority. Lawmakers can't do this or that. Well, the government doesn't set prices. things like that. Just really, because I think the general public sometimes just doesn't understand some of these basics, and try to do it in really easy, accessible language to undercut this inflation economy message, because corporate media is not helping Democrats at all. They help fuel the misconceptions. They tiptoe around it on purpose. They could help if they wanted to. They're choosing not to. So because they benefit from corporate tax cuts and all of that. So that's another story. That's a whole
Absolutely.
nother topic.
Exactly.
But I think clear counterpunching. Look at where they're effective, because I honestly, with swinging independent voters, whether they're voting for based on bigotry feelings they have, or fear of a non-white majority nation, or things like that. In terms of when you call them out publicly and saying, well, you're just a racist, in certain situations, I know that's appropriate. But then in some areas, if you think somebody might have a crack of being open to, then just starting with that, they're not going to listen to you to your
You
very next
shut
thing.
you shut down the conversation, the opportunity for the other things to be heard. So, I mean,
Okay,
I
thank
get
you.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Susan. I appreciate it. Great points you made. And again, glad to have you here and part of the conversation today. Again, as always. So up next, we've got Sweet Pea, Allie, and then Geechee.
Thank you, Dee. I'm going to bounce off what Tamina was talking about. Natalie James nailed that debate when they started asking about the student loan debt. She brought up the fact that there were trillions of dollars given that are unforgiven for PPP loans. She said something to the effect of they don't have solutions. All they have is fear mongering. And as far as the inflation goes, inflation is corporate greed. She called them out on every bit of it. I didn't get to listen to the whole thing because I was listening to y'all as well. But please, I would again, let's amplify her today. I've already retweeted a handful of her things. She did a phenomenal job, absolutely phenomenal job. So I hope everybody goes and watches, because that girl, I mean, she killed it. She absolutely killed it, and did it dancing backwards in heels. I loved it. Thank you.
Well, thanks for that report, Sweet Pea. I can't wait to watch it. Actually, like I said, I had it on, but the volume down, and just seeing her and just seeing how her campaign has progressed to now is it's really, really makes me feel good. And
Do
so,
y'all remember that Natalie James that came into the room that first day? To what I saw, just I haven't got to watch the whole thing myself, but just from what I saw, I mean, she really put on her learning cap, and although she's got some natural abilities, don't get me wrong, but like you have to prepare for what she just did, and she was just
absolutely,
really well prepared. I'm really proud of her, and
yes.
proud that we got to get to know her, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, and hopefully, Arkansas voters will send her to the Senate. We need all the help we can get up there.
Well,
Because,
if they watch that debate, I mean, like, just watch. The one fun part I had was watching Natalie's face as these guys were talking. And they caught her. They caught her a couple times. It was just really great. It was just you'll enjoy it, and you'll know when you watch it.
all right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. So, up next, we've got Allie and then Geechee and then Hippie. I haven't seen you here in a while. So, go ahead and Graham. So, Allie, Geechee, Hippie, and Graham.
Thanks so much for letting me come up again. I just wanted to say, over here in Europe, it's very interesting because the messaging is very clear. 15 to 20% inflation, and it has nothing to do with American politics. What it has to do is with global profits, profits from global corporations, and people are not confused about it at all. People are
Well, they haven't been
protesting.
brainwashed by a
Exactly.
Fox channel and
And
ONN and all
so
the others.
yes, so as we are messaging for, and I'm an American expat, still vote in the United States. I've held on to my vote. Never thought I'd be voting against fascism, but damn, I'm glad I held on to my vote. And you know what, you
We
guys?
are too, Ellie. We need all the votes we can get. Round up any expats you see wandering around over there.
You know what? 44 days they got rid of that prime minister. And you know what the messaging is over here from the English public, the UK public, is that trickle down economics do not work. They do not get down to our toast, where my grandmother is sitting there having to pay versus heat versus having a piece of toast with beans on it this winter. That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about anything that has to, it's worldwide, global inflation as a result of the pandemic and different issues that are going on. Has nothing to
And
do.
Putin's war, okay,
Yes,
has
and war.
contributed greatly because he has also attacked the breadbasket of Europe,
Europe,
and he
exactly.
has burned a lot of the
Wheat
crop.
fields.
Yes.
Wheat field. So we're
Mhm.
on our week 2 now of a petrol strike, where 5 out of 6 of the major refineries are closed. That means people cannot get gas, and we do not have bread on supermarket shelves because France stopped producing so much wheat because Ukraine started producing so much wheat. Europe is totally interdependent, and they're aware of it, and they take responsibility for it. They're not blaming it on the United States. They're not blaming it on NATO even. What they're blaming it is on, let's be let's be in solidarity with each other. And when we get to the point where people are so egregiously abusing of corporate profits to the point where the masses are starving. We have been through this before here in France, for example. 1789 is the date of the French Revolution. People will get to the point where they will not take it. And that's basically what they're saying is, those of you that have will not starve those of us who have not. And there's no confusion about it. Trickle down economics do not work. All of those tax breaks that the Republicans voted for, all of those incentives, all of those rights that they've taken away. They've even taken away the sovereign rights of our Native American nations. I mean, what
The
more
ones
could
who
they
they
do?
drove to the furthest,
Yes.
bounds of the
Like
nation,
the
you know.
real owners of that continent. It is so egregiously obscene what they have done, and yet through the use of media we have become numb. We've become numb. So let's scream about it. Over here, you hear people saying, okay, 44 days, that was enough. We will never again have this type of conservative leadership here in the UK, for example, and all of Europe. All of Europe is watching what's
Mhm.
happening in the UK.
The
And they may
folks in
not.
Iran are they have they're beating the drums too. They're tired and
Yes,
they're not going
exactly.
back. And
Exactly.
they've had 2 or 3 decades of it because like I
Yep.
said, my military days, I was
Mm-hmm.
in a combat support hospital.
Mm-hmm.
The first time that, I almost had to go to war was when they took over the embassy in Iran.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
that was our sector. And
Yes.
we were
Yes.
on the
And
tarmac.
all around the world, they are watching us. Our friends in Latin America, our friends in Africa, all throughout Europe, all throughout Asia. China is not doing that great, folks. People are watching. And yes, there is a concern about nuclear war. But to tell you the truth, here on the ground in France, people are more concerned with greed and how that's affecting everybody's daily life. So let's keep our message very focused. Here's
And
an
they know who's
example.
responsible for the greed.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really interesting to me because you saw these Americans coming over here to Paris for vacation, and I'm like, do you guys get it? That here there is healthcare for everyone. Here there is education for everyone, all the way through university without paying it. You don't have to pay it out of your pocket. All of these things are done because there's a social network that was fought for. Labor unions are intact, and people protect each other because there is an idea that if you take care of each other, the global good will be better. So they will not tolerate this level of greed. It is not being tolerated. And if you see people talking about demonstrations in the streets in Europe, that's what they're demonstrating about. Greed. It's that's what it is. And yes, they will go out in the street and demonstrate and say that's enough. We've had
No
enough of you.
wonder, no wonder Elon's hiding behind the skirt of Putin.
Yeah, of course he is. Of course he is, and he is not respected here. None of those people who have those giant pots of money, who do not spread it around, are respected here. And in other parts of the world, I mean, you have a few people who just want to idealize and think they could be the same, but the reality is the people who are the happiest are the people world global happiness quotients have to do with countries where people have social networks and they take care of each other. That is very,
And that's how
very clear.
democracies and communities thrive.
Right. So the idea that we are even possibly close to losing our democracy is so, so shocking and appalling to much of the rest of the world. Because even though we're a very young country, China's 5,000 years old, the United States is 250 years old. But when you look at the example of what democracy had meant for the United States, and it wasn't fair for everyone, but there is a difference between what you can possibly do. We need to hang on to what we can possibly do. And we must fight against this media onslaught because the brainwashing is so, I mean, I can see it so clearly between here and there, that please, we must use our voices to give the other side. And Europe is a great example because Americans love to come to vacation in Europe. Well, what is the reality of Europe? Europe is socialism. Hello. And it's happy socialism. And it's not a bad word to say socialism over here. So I loved it, for example, and I'll stop now, but when Val Demings was like, oh, you're going to bring out the socialism word. You're going
Yes,
to bring
and that's
about
what
the Marxist word.
right, like
Right.
lean
Yeah. Yeah.
into
Lean
because
into it.
they
Lean
want
into
them
it.
all to be scary words, just like,
Right. Right.
Christian and family values and
Right.
patriotism. They do not
Right.
own those things. In fact, their very
Right.
behavior over this, past half
Mm-hmm.
decade has shown
Mm-hmm.
to be quite the opposite. How can you be a patriot when you want to overthrow your government? How can you
Yes.
be a Christian when the
Yes.
person that you lead or
Mm-hmm.
is your leader is a
Mm-hmm.
criminal and
Mm-hmm.
just so many other things,
Mm-hmm.
and most of your leaders that
Yeah.
are associated with
And
the party.
there are things that would blow the minds of your average misogynistic, Christian white male in the United States because, for example, they have equal parental leave for fathers in the Nordic countries here. Fathers can take 6 months off to raise their babies if they want to, or they can split it between the mothers and the fathers. There's all kinds of different varieties of ways to look at societal organization that leads to happiness and to contentness. And who is content in the United States right now? We're really good at complaining. But over here,
Yeah, and
yeah,
when Germany had a problem with their birth rate, when they were
yeah,
at zero um,
yeah,
birth rate, they didn't go around trying to stop other people and control women's body. What they did was they started offering a lot of benefits and help
right,
to people
right.
who did have children.
Yes, you get money from the government every month here to help raise your kids. And you
And
get
time
health
off.
and time off. And gas right now is $10 a gallon, and people are paying it because they realize it is temporary. It is explainable. It has to do with the pandemic that we all went through. The whole world went through it, and it has no there's no advantage to going into partisan politics over it because the 95% of the population is suffering. And if we can look past, that fake idea that we could all be rich, we could all win the lottery, whatever. No, we all need to be able to have a good quality of life with education, health care, and taking care of each other. That's what leads to long life. That's what leads to the satisfaction in life. Laughing, loving, caring for each other. But not no Elon Musk is not happy.
No.
I mean, these people that are off, with their failing symbol, the Bezos and all these things, with their rockets. These people are not happy, but
Mm-mm.
we need to anyway. I'll stop. But anyway,
All
trickle
right.
down economics do not work. Have them look at Europe. We got rid of that. They got rid of that leader in 44 days. 44
Right.
days. Prime Minister out. Why? Because
Thanks,
I don't want
Allie.
my grandmother eating toast, having to choose between toast and heat this winter.
Yeah.
That was a very simple message. Very.
Absolutely. So up next, we've got Geechee, then Hippie, and then Graham. And I want to give anyone else who is in the gallery listening an opportunity to come up and share with us because we're winding down. And if you're up here on the stage, an opportunity to share some more thoughts with us before we close out. So, Geechee, how are you this afternoon?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. I got up on time without having to be sedated. This is my first real day of work, so I'm like really happy for that kind of. But I'm happy to see everybody in here, and I'm happy to see everybody energized and excited. We got 17 days left to go. And that's important because we have people that are voting right now. And most of the votes that we're going to gain in order for Democrats to win are going to be over the next 16 days. That one day at the end is the day that most Republicans are going to vote. So we really, 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 it's that broken record time, need y'all out on these phones, texting, or knocking on doors. It's not hard. It's very easy. You can do it while you're working. You can do it while you're reading. You can do it while you're singing. You can do it any time, not any time of the day, but it's always available. There's always a campaign that we need to win that has texting going on. It could be a house race. It can be a local race for you in your own state. It could be a governor's race, a federal house race, a Senate race. We need y'all out there. And it's really not hard. If you don't know who to text, where to text, or who's texting at a time, let me recommend 3 people that you can DM and they'll get you to work immediately. You can DM Shauna. You can DM Dawn. You can DM Tiff. And if you have the time, and believe me, you have that time, you can get you on the phones to call. They can get you on your phones to text. They can get you on your laptop or your iPad or any other tablet to text. It is very, very, very simple. And we're to the point now where a lot of this communication is actually just getting people either to the polls, to send in their ballot, or to track their ballot. That's what a lot of this is now. Now we're in the confirmation stage. You're not going to deal with as many people that are spirited, I'll say. So that's all I have for today. It was good listening to y'all, all the wonderful encouragement coming in this space today, as it does every day, every weekday. I'm glad to be here with y'all. I'm so proud of you, Dee. So proud of you, Eugene. Eugene, you better be getting better. We're not going to accept anything less than that. And I also want to give a shout out to Natalie James. We saw your debate today. We're excited about your campaign. We look forward to you moving the state of Arkansas back in towards our direction the way it should be. And that's all I have for today. Thank y'all. Be blessed and get on them phones. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Geechee, and I appreciate it. Great advice. And yes, do follow these people, DM them, ask. There is work going on within this community everywhere. There is something for all of us to do. We can't all do everything, but we can all do something. And like Geechee said, the text banking and that kind of stuff is so easy to do. Uh, Pick a time and do, that's convenient for you. But thank you so much.
Hey,
And thank
Dee.
you for all the team leaders. Yeah, I got her. I see.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
jump her up to the front of the line here.
Yeah, of course. I got it. I understand. Okay. So thank you so very much. And we do have Natalie in the house, and I am so happy. We have gotten reports. I did see you. I couldn't really hear you on your debate, but the reports have all been fantastic and glowing, and we're glad that you came here. Um, and we'd like to hear what you have to say and share with us. So please tell us, give us the highlights. How you feeling?
I had to come here first because without you guys, that debate, I wouldn't have been able to drop the hammer so many times. I was able to come back in with receipts, be comfortable, and know what I'm saying is factual. And we saw how rattled he got. I mean, the goal was to let people know how emotional and irrational he is half the time, but we did far more than that. And he could not gain or keep his composure, and he was so upset. And then I also wanted to bring up how he called our DPA chair to try to, thwart me from actually bringing up the PPP loans as if that would stop. I guess he didn't learn about me quick enough to understand that that is not my personality. I'm like a little pit bull or a honey badger. If I see something and I see a point of weakness, I'm going at it and I'm not letting up until you let up. And I'm just so glad that Arkansas is able to see for who and what he is and how he continues to vote against us. And I'm so grateful for these spaces because you guys empowered us, you were emboldened, give us we should
Oh, Natalie,
the
check your mic.
conversations we should be
Okay.
having to make sure that we're able to articulate it and make sure that we're able to make sure our voices are heard. But it was amazing. I feel phenomenal now that it's over. I was dreading it because I just did not feel like I didn't feel like it was going to get. I didn't feel like I was going to do well, and I'm just very glad that I did.
Okay, you went out again there. I can tell you're driving. I am so glad. Well, if you when you come back, I don't know if you're still talking. We can't hear you, but just pop back in when you can. But I just want you to know that we are so proud of you. And as I said, I have watched you during this time that you kind of first came into spaces, and then we had that Dawn and her team and Virgo and those guys had that town hall. And I mean, you really just started to blossom, and we have watched you grow. And we couldn't be prouder of you. And if you get your communication back, I know that, sometimes you're in rural areas there. That's why we need some more Democrats to fix that broadband problem that they have over there in Arkansas. But we love you, Natalie, and stick around, and I hope you're able to reconnect. And we're going to pick back up.
So
Um,
very, very proud of her.
mhm. So Hippie, and then Graham, and then Fish. And Fish and Dawn, thank you for giving me the heads up on that debate. And I'm so glad I was able to tune in, and many people were able to, just watch it and come back and give us a report. But I know you felt all those prayers, Natalie. We were praying and rooting for you. All right. So go ahead, Hippie. How are you?
Great, great. And well done, Natalie.
And
Well
this is
done.
from a voter, too.
Yeah, I'm a voter. Um, Chris Jones can't even get Sarah Sanders to debate him. She's afraid of him. Um, so, no debate for that. Um, but I'm thrilled with your debate, Natalie. You did very well, and we need John Bozeman out of there. He is doing nothing, and you, my dear, are going to rock it. And I am thrilled, and it is time. Uh, the reason we've not been read is we only have 20% of the Democrats voting, and I'm going to be doing phone banking soon. In fact, starting now. Uh, that is one of the reasons they want. I talked to Chris's group, and they feel that it's very necessary. They aren't even bothering with just calling anyone. They want just, they have the list of the Democrats, and they believe that it's better to spend our time on the Democrats to get them out there to vote, because we only have had 20% vote. And that's maybe,
When you say only them, are you saying only them as opposed to, say, independents or something like that?
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
when we have, for the past years, we haven't had, and I know Natalie would know this too, we have not really had any Democrats above maybe Secretary of State run for an office.
Yeah, and Natalie used to tell us when she first came in. I remember the first interview, when she came into the space, and she talked about the challenge she felt she had was that the voters were not registered, like and those that were, they weren't voting. So it's all about registering voters and galvanizing them to you know take that final act and put the paper in the slot. And it seems like that whole team, I was also impressed with the entire Democratic ticket from Arkansas. So I'm hoping that y'all all feed off of one another, and it's a win for all of you guys. And Natalie probably lost connection, but she can hear us for sure. And like I said, we're just praying that it continues to go as well as it seems to have today, and I cannot wait to listen to it because, like I said, I was watching it, but I had it turned down and I couldn't, think to turn my closed caption on.
Yeah,
But
I had to
yeah,
turn mine on
so
too
Trust
so I could
me,
hear it.
they're, oh,
Because
hmm
my for some reason the sound went out. But we are working together. Like right before I went in, I saw Chris when he was leaving, and he came over and gave me a quick prayer, and we just went over to have clarity, to have focus, and it's amazing because it feels like a family and what we're doing here in Arkansas. We're not just candidates, but we are family running together for the betterment of Arkansas, and it's important that we have that camaraderie. And it's not it's not like anything else I've ever seen. Granted, this is my first time running, but it really is like a little mini family. He's like the big brother. He's like, "Want to come pray with your sister?" I was like, "Yes," before I walk in there into the lion's den. And whew, when I say, before we even got into the debate, we saw each other outside, and John Bozeman, I was like, okay, I'm looking at him. I guess he's trying to size me up, and he says hi, and the weather is great. Just the normal pleasantries that he gives anybody else. He was not expecting me to not back down to him, which is what he's normally used to. And so that lets us know that what we need to do and continue to do is we are digging deep, but we need to dig deeper. We need to reach higher and not let up, because just any amount of pressure on anybody in the GOP or on the Republican Party right now is enough to rattle them and shake them. If a first time candidate, a 30-year-old woman, 38-year-old woman, can shake and rattle a 20-year incumbent, that means they are scared. They know that they are on the losing end. Regardless of what the polls say, 2016, those polls told us something totally different. So I'm not listening to polls. And if you look at the numbers in the polls and what they actually say and where they're getting their information from, getting the information from a dot in one piece of the state and not a whole inclusive piece of the state, it's not doing us due justice. Having 42% Republicans and 26% Democrats in the latest poll tell us who they think is going to win is not inclusive of who and reflective of everybody in the whole state. So this is letting us know our time is now, and we have to dig deeper. And I don't care if you are scared of getting dirty. You don't have to get dirty. As we see today, I have no problem and no qualms with it. But you are going to have to stand up and continue to push further and push others. So instead of 22 people, and instead of just reaching out to 100 people, dig deeper, reach out to more. And our text banking, we are getting it up in our phone banking. So you can call people. And if you haven't downloaded Minivan, go ahead and download it because that's how we're going to be sending out our list so you can reach out to these registered voters and non-voters. And even if you just want to send them the debate clip of us going, not backing down and not being weak and not taking their nonchalant inaction anymore, that's enough right there to get people motivated to get out and vote. And I'm hoping that we have motivated the masses in Arkansas and we see an influx of voters. But my voice is going, so I'm going to go in here and eat some lunch real quick because I have not eaten all day.
Natalie, I am so very proud of you, and I just want to say I listened to all the parts that you spoke, and like you gave some great looks. Like there were some side glances you gave that like left me like just giggling.
I was trying to be good, but then I was trying not to open up the PPP loans. And when he opened it up about the student loans and opened it up, that eyebrow, that devilish look came across, and I was like, I can't help it. It's gonna happen. It's happening right now. So that's why y'all see me post a lot of stuff saying it's happening because it is happening, and that's what happened today with that look. I couldn't help myself. I was like, I know you didn't. After you just bullied me to not say anything, oh, it's going down. I'm saying everything, all of it, and that was enough to get him rattled and shaken up on national TV.
Oh, you did a wonderful job of it. I'm really proud of you.
Thank
That is
The
awesome.
to watch the growth of when you first walked in the room. I mean, nothing rattled you. You spouted off your facts, and you owned it like you knew it. And I just was really proud of you.
you.
All right. Yes, we definitely are. And there are a couple of other people who have their hands up, Fish and Graham.
I think Graham was before me.
Okay.
We haven't heard from Fish. Go ahead, Fish.
Aw.
Oh, well, thank you. I wanted to. I had thoughts on the inflation discussion earlier, of course, but I came up to congratulate Natalie too. Amazing job. Everything that everybody has said. Uh, I was floored when I thought you dropped him to the floor with the comment about infrastructure and how it was no thanks to the incumbent senator, yet he's never shy to show up for a ribbon cutting. I was so proud to hear that. I thought that was fantastic. I I also really loved seeing the the quotes go up on your feed real time. Kudos to your team. Good work over there. And you know the PPP segment when a bunch of us offline got real hot when he said get your act straight, and we were trying to figure out was he saying facts straight. Were we seeing misogynoir live?
You
Either
were.
way, all I knew was
You
I
were.
said, you know what? He just messed with the bull and he got the horns. Look how rattled he is.
So
So
it was get my
it was.
facts straight, and I politely let him know. I said, "Well, I need you to hear correctly. I said you divested from the corporation, and I'm talking about your colleagues and coworkers who donated to you." And he looked. I said, "I know. All you see is red right now." And so when you saw us off screen and we didn't have the mics
No,
on
you
anymore, and I
didn't.
was holding his arm, I did. I said, "I know you didn't hear me well because you're very upset right now, but I need you to listen to understand and not listen to respond." I said you're divested. I never said you, but I said your colleagues and your coworkers. And you are a current senator, correct? So you have colleagues who have taken out PPP loans for their businesses and had them forgiven, correct? And he just looked, he was just still just red. He couldn't think past that. Even when he did his press media conference, he was still going on, well, she said this, she said that. Whew, I'm sorry,
Well,
but
it's
I
good.
said
He's
the
talking
truth.
about you. Okay.
Yeah.
He sure ain't talking about that other dud that was sitting there.
And
Or
he was
himself.
serious.
So that I would say that that's a sign of success at that point. The
Yeah.
fact that you rattled him to the point that now he has to discuss you in his views where really he should be utilizing that time to make it all about him. But you rattled him so much that he's got to mention you.
Yes,
Well,
yes, you're
I just wanted to let you know that we now have three amazing black women performing in debates this week, and I'm so happy to be adding you to that list. So terrific job, Natalie.
Thank you so much. Yeah, like I said, when I need some entertainment and some uplifting and some hopefulness, I will be replaying those debates. And so thank you again so much, Fish. I appreciate you. And thanks again, like I said, for giving me a heads up because, you know, um, so many things going on. I didn't realize that it was taking place. So kudos to the community here for making us aware and those that, took time to, watch it and come back and report. And of course, again, like I said, divine intervention watches over this space. Look where you came afterwards, and we're just so thrilled. So, again, kudos to you, and we're so happy. Um, and we're going to continue to do all that we can to help you and the rest of that wonderful Democratic ticket there in Arkansas because we need them everywhere. We certainly need to expand them in Congress, but these state houses in the South, they need some blue there to prevent them from, going all the way crazy like DeSantis is trying to do there. So, and other, governors as well. So, again, Natalie, chime in if you'd like. Again, and I'm going to give it to Graham. And then, like I said, such a wonderful, wonderful space. And like the cherry on top here, to have one of our own, Natalie James, who just finished up her debate, come back and share with us. And if there's anyone who is there in the gallery listening, if you'd like to come up and say something to Natalie or ask a question, please feel free to do so. She's usually always so gracious about that. And if there's other, information you'd like to share here in the conversation, do that as well. I'm going to go to Graham and then I brought Joni up. Going to go to her. And if you are still here on the stage, we're going to start to get into our wind down portion. If you have some closing thoughts you'd like to add, please throw your hand up and we'll get you in the conversation. So with that, Graham and then Joni.
Yeah, thanks, Dee. And I just got a big smile on my face, Natalie. Should I say Senator James or sorry, Candidate James? Uh, I missed your debate, but I'm going to be watching that for sure because I've watched all the debates and loved them. So looking forward to that. I saw a bit of Chris Jones' debate earlier. Yeah, so of course Natalie stole some of my thunder, and that is ignore the polls. You just got to keep pushing to the finish line here. And, I've been doing my little part and I've been amplifying the candidates since weeks on end and amplifying Natalie too. And typically I do a like or whatever, but coming into the close, I like to do the quote tweet and make sure that it reaches as many people as possible. When they're asking for donations, I retweet them, so that goes out there, and that helps them a little bit. So, that's something I've been working on. I have a little bit interesting news. Canada just announced, or Justin Trudeau just announced that handguns are no longer for sale, trade in Canada. They'll no longer import handguns. We've been working on that one for a while. So that was announced today. That's kind of an interesting piece of news. Show you that anything is possible if you get organized and attack at the right places. And that's what I wanted to talk about. I did put a tweet up in the nest, and it's from a Union of Concerned Scientists. And if you just go to their website, the first thing that pops up is this little thing, and it's if you want to add your voice to their concerns, and what they're saying is they want all chemical safety laws to be science-based. So if you go to the website, put in your name, your zip code. I can't do it because I'm in Canada. It'll send a letter to support changing EPA laws. So chemical laws are based on science. Facts are good. A lot of people have been talking about the media. Okay. What scientists have found from complaining about the media and criticizing them and writing letters and letters to the editor is nothing, especially with regards to climate, nothing changed much. So scientists are focusing on the courts and politicians really putting a lot of effort there. And that's what I see happening right now. when they announced Roe v. Wade, when they went after gun safety, when they undermined climate legislation. This woke up the science community like crazy, just like Roe v. Wade. It's like this is all hands on deck. And there's three groups: Union of Concerned Scientists, 500 women scientists, which is also includes gender non-conforming scientists, and also SACNAS, which includes indigenous scientists. And all these three groups are going at the local, federal, and state, local, state, and federal level to add their voices to all of the policy. So you can get involved in the policy making. Media, media is media, but you're gonna spend your time wisely, and getting involved in changing policy can also make a big difference. And you don't have to be a scientist to join this. And I think what the model they're going to do is start the petitioning and the letters where you can add your voice. And what I did is I always added my own little bit into these letters. And what they have to do is each time each letter is unique, they have to get a person to answer each of these unique letters. So I always put in tough science questions. So they'd have to research those and present them to the committees. And uh, I love that people are getting involved, and these people are serious and they're going hard, because November 9th, November 10th, they're going to be following up and supporting candidates and vetting candidates and informing candidates of science-based policy. So I always think of these things as an act of defiance. If you sign a letter, it's like an act of defiance, voicing your freedom of speech and supporting human rights. And this act of defiance you can do today by supporting chemical safety laws. Make sure they're science-based. You can do that right now. That's what I want to say. Get involved. Everything is going great. Don't, this is different. The polls are not reflective of what's happening. And I think that we're going to be having a good surprise on November
Right.
8th.
They're just the polls are a snapshot, a moment in time. You have to take it all in context, which is why we love folks like Tip who can kind of help us do that. And she has come back up. So happy. I'm going to get some folks here on the mic who have not spoken yet. And I'll start with Joni, then Soul Sister, and then we have a new voice in the space, Papa. So, welcome to Democracy First. Looking forward to hearing from you. And then we'll get Shauna and Tiff. Joni?
Well, hello everyone. Natalie, I loved how you put that guy down. Oh my gosh, it was terrific. I did get to see quite a bit of it. Just like Val Deming slapped Marco. And I'm looking forward to, I guess, there's going to be a debate now with Charlie Crist and DeSantis. He finally decided, okay, he'll do one. And of course, it's not till the 24th, I think, the end of the month. Anyways, I also saw Barack Obama has endorsed Charlie Crist. You've got the president that was down here and the first lady that was down here, stomping for both Crist and Val Deming. I thought that was wonderful. And more people are starting to listen to what's going on down here and how devious and evil DeSantis actually is. So there's more people that are flocking to Charlie Crist's campaign and retweeting a lot of his stuff. So that's great. I know a lot of people that have already posted that they voted for him. They even put a copy of their voting ballot thing on it before they either mailed it or hand delivered it, which I did the same. Hubby did the same. My son did the same. But anyways, yep, I think things are going good here. I think he's got a good chance, and I think having the president and Barack Obama come down and endorse him is helpful. Other than that, that's about it. Things
Well,
are going well.
Well, good, Joni. Good to hear you here in the conversation today. And so happy to have a good report from, things on the ground there in Florida. So again, I know a lot of people are working, those outside of Florida as well, because most of us in this community understand that we're affected, by the things that the senators and representatives you send to Congress. So we want to help make sure that you send good ones. So thank you for all the work that you're doing and for coming and joining in our conversation today. So up next, we've got Soul Sister, and then Papa and Shauna, and then Tiff.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dee, and thank you, Eugene. And you know what, Dee? When I came into the space, I was like already there, so I didn't raise my hand, but I appreciate you giving me the moment to speak. And I just
That's
wanted to.
probably because I sent you an invite earlier, so
Oh,
I
okay,
know I
sorry.
know you can rise to the occasion. So
I I'm sorry. I had a phone call. It ran over longer than what I expected, but I appreciate it. I just wanted to say that I think we should. I really agree with Graham that we're going to be in for better surprises than what we think, and I want us all to stay encouraged. I don't have anything new to add because I have been busy for a Friday, but I do want to say that this week has energized me, even though Monday felt like Friday to me already. And that's crazy, but we're out here and we're doing the work, and I do think that we're making an impact and a difference. And I just wanted to say that this space and the spaces that you've inspired because of it are the reason behind why we are making a difference. There's no one that can tell me, and then we may never have any data to say uh, because of this is how many more text messages were sent, and this is how many more donations were gained, and this is how many more votes were won. But we all have to know that we are making a damn bit of difference out there. And I just want us to keep up and keep that up, keep that same energy, and keep each other encouraged and stay encouraged. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And I don't have anything else, but I will be listening in. Thank you so much.
thank you, and I appreciate it. So yeah, that's why you popped up there. And Dustin has come in to join us as well. And Tiff, I hope you have a moment because I'd like for you to kind of give us a good overview before we close out with our guest and my co-host. So up next, we have a new voice in the conversation, Papa. Welcome to Democracy First, and I hope this won't be your last time. And here, I guess you can gather that, we talk about all things regarding our democracy. And we also talk to candidates and help vet them too. And we have some great ones here in the space. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you would like to add to our conversation today. So you have the floor.
Well, hello there, everyone. I am delighted to be here. Thank you, Dee, for the opportunity to speak. This is my first time here, not my first time in spaces, but my first time here. I am very encouraged to see everyone doing as much as they can and supporting the cause for democracy and women's rights and voting rights. It's very inspirational and enlightening, and to see so many new folks, as well as African Americans who are going for positions and that are new candidates. It is very encouraging, and I hope that continues and that rate continues to rise in minorities running for positions, even in red states. Even if you believe that you may not win, but go for it. I just wanted to put that out there. I am from New York. I am a, property owner and a Democrat. I believe in the democratic position for us all of our rights, for abortion rights, for voting rights, for Black Lives Matter. It's all very important. I do also One of my ways that I am trying to help give back is not only in donating to a lot of Democratic charities, but I have many friends in red states that I throw them a couple of bucks and ask them to go from door to door, and their friends and their colleagues and their coworkers, schoolmates, and talk to them about voting, and talk to them about the seriousness of us losing our democracy. That's been my small way of trying to um, support the system. What I do feel is that there are a lot of President Biden's accomplishments that are not amplified, that are not brought out strong enough, um, as the negative aspects of are. And perhaps if we tried a little bit harder to um, not only stand for democracy and our rights, but to also toot the positive aspects of what President Biden is doing, because the Republicans are blasting him as the worst president and he's getting nothing done. But that's not what I see. But I do believe that what I see is not amplified enough. For example, we all know the unemployment continues to stay low, and that's been helping drive the economy upward. Just recent gas prices had dropped by 10% in the last couple of days. May not be that much, but it's something. It's something to say, look what Biden is doing for America, for democracy. Student aid. The Republicans are trying to do away with that, which is beyond ridiculous. Over this student aid application is open to over 40 million Americans. And so far, over 8 million have benefited from it by applying with it. But it's not stated as public as it should. The federal deficit has decreased by $1.5 trillion within 2022. That is excellent. That is tremendous. But if you look at a Republican's page, they'll make you think that we're in the toilet because of Biden, which is not true. Um, what else can I say? We can emphasize the wrongs that are happening to us, the hypocrisies, the conspiracies, the lies, the fraud. But if we equally or even more emphasize the goods that are happening to our economy, no matter how small they may be affecting us, perhaps that as well could gain one or two more independent voters, or even Republican voters, bring them to the side of sanity. I'm encouraged to see Oprah has been out there helping Stacy. Amen. Well done, Barack
That was a
Obama.
great debate or great interview that she did with her.
I have not seen that yet.
I just stuck it up into the nest for us. It's
Excellent.
beautiful.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yes, check it out. It's awesome. It was wonderful.
Excellent. So that was an encouragement within itself. When I first heard she's coming out, of course, in my head I said, "Well, it's about time." But who cares? Point is, she's out. She's here. Amen to that. But that was just my point. I want to thank everyone here that's been supporting together. One last hope that I have is that the unity, the togetherness, the support does not stop on November 8th, and that we continue to unify and rise together on November 9th and continuing afterward. This is not a just one election, one day problem. This is probably going to be a sort of
L-
forever problem.
a lifetime of work. I
Yeah.
hope you stick around to the end, Papo. Yes, absolutely. Um,
And I'll pass that back to you. Thank you, Dee, for the opportunity.
Well, no, thank you. What a treat. I hope you come and join us often. We always love having new voices in the conversation, and
I
yours
will.
has been a delight, and you've laid out some wonderful facts. These are things that we talk about quite frequently in here, and that is part of our grassroots effort and mission is
Excellent.
we know that the media is not helping us to amplify the things that this administration is doing. So we
Yes.
kind of take on a personal mission of our own to do that.
Yes.
So thank
Yes.
you.
You're very welcome. And thank you, everyone.
All right. Well, awesome. So next we have Shauna and then DB and then Tiff. And we'll start to close out another wonderful conversation that we've had today. And again, I know we're wrapping up, but please do share and retweet the space because it is recorded. And I think it is a great tool. To share and with people because now you can share them with people who don't even come on the spaces to let them hear the voices of Americans who are civically engaged and informed. And I find it to be quite inspiring. So thanks again, you guys. And Shauna, you have the floor.
Thank you. I just wanted to wish or congratulate Natalie on a great debate. And there was a tweet out about President Biden. He was pretty much doing the same thing she was. He was going after Republicans that were trashing the student debt relief, but that had taken PPP loans. So I'm going to share that in the nest. So they were channeling the same energy today. So I just want to congratulate her on that. And then I missed what she said about text banking, so I'd come up to ask about that. And so that's all that I pretty much had. And thank you guys.
Well, thank you so much. Did you, Natalie, are you still there? Did you say, because I heard you mention, I guess, an app called, was it Minivan? You want to speak to Shauna's question if you're still there and able, because we know Nat.
I am. I'm going to
Okay.
start emailing out here shortly. So make sure you have my email, right? Well, I have your email anyway, but email out shortly and make sure you have the minivan. And then we're probably going to do a Zoom call, try to do a Zoom call tomorrow or Sunday so that we can get set up and everybody can feel proficient in it and there'll already be a script loaded in there. But if you do the minivan, it allows you to make phone calls. And if you're local, you can actually go to somebody's home and door knock and say, hey, why didn't you get out and vote in the last two elections? Well, now you got a good reason. Get out here and vote.
Awesome. All right. So you got that, Shauna, and yes, we've got email address. So please make sure you send that to me, Natalie, so that we can help and we can share and amplify. That's what we do here. So again, thanks, Shauna. Appreciate you coming up today. And then next we've got DB and then Tip.
Good afternoon, everyone. Basically, I just got back from voting in Georgia, so
Woohoo!
I know it. I use this as my motivation. Not that I need it much, but I was listening to this space while I was in line with headphones on. So a little bit of what I saw, I was able to get in and out in under 30 minutes because the place at Tucker that I usually go to early vote, they they work it like like a top. They know what they're doing. They instruct people, and in Georgia, if you are disabled or elderly, you automatically get put first in line. Everyone knows that, and everyone is cool with it. They did have a person out there interviewing people, and that was just one guy. Look, I'm a conservative voter, and Kemp has done so much, and I was thinking, and I wanted to say, well, what has he done? And he also noted that he wasn't really excited about Walker, but he voted for him anyway. But I can't deal with other people do. I can only handle what I do. I saw a lot of it was black men. I saw a lot of females, younger and older, that came out to vote. Uh, And what we have to do, the reason I wanted to vote, even though early voting is up until election day, well, it stops at Friday before the week of election. I wanted to post big numbers this week. I want them to say people are coming out. And I think a lot what happens from that, when people see that a lot of people like we're serious about that, it motivates them to come out. So, and that's why I wanted to be counted in the first week of early voting. But that's what we have here. If I find out anything else, I will let everybody know. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate that. And I think that is so awesome that you were listening to Democracy First while you were, acting out,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
democracy
Yes, ma'am.
in action. So I love it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. And so up next, we have Tiff, and then I'm going to give Dustin an opportunity to give us a campaign update, and then Natalie to give us some closing thoughts, Eugene, and I'll close us out. And thank you guys again, as always, for being here and for, hanging out and providing such great content for our conversation this week.
Hello again. I came up in the beginning, but I just wanted to end on a good note. So, obviously, I know everyone is stressed out. We talk politics like 16 hours a day, and it's very stressful to hear everything that's happening on the news and, all of these different narratives that are being put out there. The most important thing is obviously that people get out and vote. So, whatever you can do over the weekend. If you're home and you don't have anything to do, I have plenty of texting opportunities for y'all to participate in. So if anybody wants to participate in texting, hit me up in a DM. I will be happy to give you the link, or just hit me, just at me, and I will give it to you as well. I have been texting for Val all week, and I will say I am pleasantly surprised with the amount of people that are saying yes. These are people that actually have requested ballots, and that either are going to turn it in via the mail, or they're going to turn it in via, to the polling place. And I would say 90% of them are saying that they are voting for her, or are going to vote for her. So I am very enthusiastic about that, because I Florida is such a weird state, and I don't know what is going to happen. So as I said earlier in the space, Pennsylvania, should be an easy win, but it's looking like it's going to be a little bit more difficult than we had hoped. North Carolina, Wisconsin, we'll see how those go. I know Barack Obama, ex-president Barack Obama is going to quite a few states to campaign. I just saw that he's going to Oregon to campaign for Tina I call her the wrong name, Kotek, but I call her Kotek. So he's going there to rally for her, which is great news. Her race was getting a little close. Now it looks like it's kind of starting to make a little bit more sense. The third party guys, or third party, I keep calling him a guy. I think it's a lady. I don't know. Is going to is their numbers are dissipating. So I think we're starting to see the closers come in to be able to hit it out the park and get these voters over the line. So I'm very excited. I love President Obama. Besides, obviously, listen, I didn't agree with him on everything on his presidency, but as a person, I love him. So when I see him and I know that he's going to different states, I automatically get excited. Like, okay, let's do this. And then he put out. So if you go on he posted a video about Tina saying, I'm endorsing her and I'm going to go campaign with her. So exciting, right? I know in other states he'll be there. I think he's going to Nevada on November 1st. He's going to Georgia. Like, he's going all over the place, and he's gonna knock it out the park for us. So I'm very enthusiastic about that. So I just want you guys to keep a positive attitude. I know it feels overwhelming, but hearing from DB, hearing from others in different states. I know Natalie did her debate today. That's a positive thing, to be able to, hear that people are doing well. Dustin's going to tell us about his endeavors, that he's probably been knocked on a whole bunch of doors with his Crocs on, and we love Dustin. So just keep the positive energy. I know that it's not easy. I was happy to hear from Papo today. Thank you for joining. We love new voices in here and hearing from other people that we normally don't. So welcome to the club. I don't even know what we call, or to the collective as we call ourselves. So welcome. Feel free to follow us. We always put out good information. We're always talking positively about the Biden administration. So you will hear, if you follow us, you will see us talk. I mean, you'll see us talking about all kinds of stuff, but mostly about Biden. So welcome. And also, just like I said, keep a positive attitude. Not everything is not gloom and doom. It doesn't have to be gloom and doom. The work needs to be done. Like I said, plenty of work. I know a lot of us will be texting this weekend. We have 3 weekends until election day. So if you have time, if you have, during the week, like today, I was a half a day, I was texting, and I'll enjoy the rest of my evening. So please, 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 please keep the positive energy. I posted my video. I was trying to keep it positive. I'm not always a positive person. Sometimes people piss me off, like last night with Herschel Walker. But I hope everyone can go at least into the weekend and get out the daggone house. Like for real. I need y'all to go out, get something to eat, go hang out, go visit your family. I don't care if you got to go to McDonald's. Just go someplace and get the hell up out the house and do something because the weather is nice. It's fall. Watch football. Get away from the TV. The media is not our friends. MSNBC is not our friends. You can get as much information about what's going on Twitter as you can because they repeat the same thing over and over and over and over again all day on MSNBC and CNN. And it's
And
usually
YouTube
negativity.
actually has quite a good news feed as well. They
Oh,
post a lot
nice.
of great clips. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I was actually watching for people that, they I was watching this. Decision Desk isn't necessarily my favorite, but they did have a YouTube earlier when I was in the car, I was listening to it. They were talking about the first hour, like on election night, the first races that are going to close. So Florida, first states that are going to close. So Florida, on the east side of Florida, is going to close at 7. Virginia. So they were talking about what to look for in those races that are going to close first. So where they were basically saying if they don't call Florida super quickly, for Charlie Chris, or DeSantis, or Val Demings, then it's going to be a really great night for the Democrats. That means that Florida is closed, and if Florida's closed, then all the other states are closed, and the same thing for Georgia, right? So
Well,
we
Florida makes me so nervous, Tiff. You
girl,
know,
it
I
makes
got,
everybody nervous. I don't. Yeah, Florida is like
2000, Al Gore.
yes. So
Okay.
yes. No, I think we all remember sitting on in 2000. I remember I was 2018. I always make the same meal for election night. I'm superstitious like that. So I always make my meal and I sit there in front of the TV. I did it for 2020, but I was a little bit I had a little gummy and I was a little bit high, but that's a whole different story. But in 2018, we were all watching, waiting to see what was going to happen in Florida. We were waiting to see what was going to happen in Georgia. And guess what, guys? We're going to do the same thing this year. We're going to sit around and we're going to wait. But this year we have each other. I think in 2018, a lot of us, we didn't have each other to keep each other, sane. We were kind of just doing our own thing. But after all, 3+ years, we are definitely more of a collective. I'm sure people will have spaces. We'll be talking on timeline. There'll be Zooms. There'll be all kinds of stuff to keep us going for the night. So there won't be that freak out. Like even in 2020, we had that freak out. We were like, what the hell? I didn't sleep all night until the next day, until I knew Michigan and Wisconsin were good. So
Until it was sewed up for
oh
sure.
my God, girl. I did not sleep. I was such a nervous wreck. And plus, like I said, I had that gummy. So it was a whole different story.
Yeah.
But
Plus,
it, but
going off of
we
so little sleep for 4 years. Never know.
exactly, exactly. But we have each other, and I think that is the difference between any other election that we've had. In our past, is that we actually have a community now to be able to talk through these things, and that keeps me going. That keeps me positive. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and get some rest. We have 2.5 weeks to go, and we've been working at this for a really, really, really long time. So all of our work will pay off in the end. I am sure of it. And whatever the result is the result. But people will never say that we didn't try and we didn't do a good job and we didn't work hard. added. So I feel positive that we are going to have a good outcome, whatever that may be. So have a good weekend, y'all.
Oh, thanks, Tiff. Perfect. I love it. True. Everything that she said, and thank you for leaving us with some uplifting thoughts and, some call to actions because we can be positive, we can take breaks, and we do need to protect our peace because we've got 17 days and we need all of our energy focused in these very, very specific areas. But we must take that time out to take care of ourselves. As well. Speaking of timeout and a little respite, because by the end of the week, we're a little all exhausted. Um, there's the Friday night music space, and I'm going to get Shauna to speak to that. But Soul Sister had something that she wanted to add. Then Shauna, tell us about the space tonight. Then Dustin and Natalie.
It's a tough position to follow, Tiff. My goodness. But I did want to say that I've been texting for BYOP, and they are part of the Field Team 6, and they're focusing on all of the swing states. If anyone can get involved with that campaign, that would be great because I do think that there are some challenges for one of the candidates, specifically Karen Bass, is what I texted yesterday, and it was a little disheartening to see that people were questioning what her positions were and whether or not she really stood for democracy based on some old, very old, and I'm talking about like a decade or more, news that don't represent who she is or what she is, what her platform stands for, or what she's trying to accomplish for California right now. So if you guys are interested, I'll make sure that I get that link to Tiff, so when she sends out her information, that's included in there, because the swing states are the ones that are going to play a big role in these upcoming elections. So I just wanted to add that. And I hate following Tiff, but that's okay. I love Tiff, but I hate following her.
I mean, I know, and I'm so sorry, but you're the one who said you had some more
I know.
information.
I had to because I really feel like if we can just keep pushing that positive message in California for Karen Bass, that I believe we can make a difference. I really do. So I'll make sure I send that, and that Tiff has that information to send out to people. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know there are just some people, it is very difficult to follow, and I host the space, so I get it. Go ahead, Shauna, then Dustin and Natalie. Shauna, did you? Okay, she may have stepped away, and now I can't remember. So I'm going to go to Dustin to give us a campaign update, and then Natalie.
Hey everybody. Can y'all hear me?
We can. I was starting to think it
Okay.
was me.
Yes,
I
we
was starting to
can.
think you couldn't hear me. Okay, go
Girl,
ahead.
the joys of driving home. Um, you know, in and out, in and out. That's how the life goes. Um, it's all good. We're not having no forums, no debates, which is horrible. But I always tell people the paper is not for me. It's always been rigged. Because the Republicans actually bought the newspaper, that it's a corporate newspaper. They bought them, so they own a huge portion of Kentucky. So it's in their favor. And I always wondered why Democrats haven't done the same. If a media conglomerate pops up, why ain't we buying it? Makes no sense to me. Um, but I've looked yesterday because something told me to look at how many doors have been. 8,700 doors so far, not counting today or tomorrow, because I am going to homecoming. It's EKU's homecoming, and I got to go see my conservative brothers and remind them that they can give a few dollars to their favorite gay black brother to make it to the finish line. That is what I'm going to remind them. Because we're supposed to be blood thicker than water type nonsense. But I also had, sometimes we forget that we got to hold people accountable. Sometimes accountable because that's just the
Hey,
joys of life. Am I cutting out?
but you're better now. You got better.
Okay. I was in, we have the LGBTQ councils. So your state parties are making caucuses and councils. So if you're in a state that has created one, go join it. Because I always say it's the joy to hold the party accountable. But we're in a space, and our chair was asking us how, as gay candidates, how's it going? And I'm like, besides the whole gun nonsense, I haven't really had my rude. Everybody's been nice. Besides the little anti-LGBTQ rally at the board meeting, and um,
You're getting garbly.
you know, am
Keep
I good
trying.
now?
You're still a little garbly. Try. Now you are.
Okay. I've used it in a reverse faction because we know we're short teachers and we're short all types of people in public schools. And I tell everybody, it's sad to be fired for being gay. But now, after this school board meeting, I said it's sad that if I even wanted to, and there was a job opening and I was the most qualified person, I couldn't work here because of that. And that's sad, especially with the teacher shortages going on and the problem that's going on in education. It's sad that I can't even work in my own town. And also made them feel stupid because if you're going to go yell about state regulations, you need to go yell at your state rep, not your school board members. The problem with the electorate is also they don't know where to go to complain or who to be mad at. If you're mad about student loan debt, go call your congressperson, call your senator, not your state rep, not your city council people. They can't solve it. Go to the people that you need to go to, um, and hold them accountable. Um, but we have 17 fantastic days, and Tiff was right. Go enjoy yourself. I have took a nap one day. It was pretty outside, but I went to sleep because that's just the way it has to be sometimes. Because if you are constantly going, you'll never relax and you'll be totally stressed out. Um, so go enjoy yourself, but make sure you are working when you aren't enjoying yourself. And don't stress because, like Joe Scarborough said yesterday, some of these elections are not doom and gloom for either side because he said a couple cycles, Republicans thought they were going to lose some seats in early 2000. They gained. Democrats thought they were going to lose a whole bunch of seats in the 90s, and they gained. So as long as you hammer the doors, go text people, go call people, go stop somebody at the grocery store, gas station, because those is where it's going to matter the most. Um, but everybody have a fantastic Friday. I'm going to go hammer out some doors, get ready for tomorrow morning, and drink my Saturday away.
All right, Dustin. Well, thank you so much. Keep doing the work. We're rooting for you. And I know there are many of us that are, reaching out to help and support you and your efforts as much as we can in as many ways as we can. So thanks for coming in and giving us that update. And we look forward to helping you cross the finish line. So up next, we have Natalie.
All right. I want to thank everybody again. And I also want to say, help me get my act together. Help me share the word, spread the news that Democrats are rattling Republicans and they are losing. So we have to continue to dig deeper, dig harder, and make sure our message is not lost because apparently it's working. And we're going to be the change and make the change we need in this midterms. All of these elections are not lost. Even if your state isn't a battleground, it's still a battleground for you. And continue to fight hard for it, fight for your campaign, and make sure you fight for your citizens to make sure that they're well protected and represented. And I want to thank everybody. I'm so elated and thankful of you guys. And thank you for all the kind words. But the work is not done and it's not over with. We still have almost 3 weeks to continue to get out here and get engaged. So if you can share our words with other people that you know that live in Arkansas and any other of these states that we can flip, share it because we have to continue to work in order to save lives.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Natalie. We appreciate it. And again, same for you. We are going to continue doing everything in our power to support you, amplify your campaign and your efforts to get you across the finish line and see you um, rep, uh, represent us in Congress. So, we're claiming that. So thank you again for being here and just congratulations for all the work that you're doing, for having the courage, both to you, Justin, I see Madeline down there, for having the courage to run and to be a public servant. So I just want to say hats off to all of you for your efforts in that manner, and we're going to do all that we can to help make sure that you guys win your campaigns. And we appreciate you for coming here, sharing your efforts with us, and allowing us to help support you because we know that you're going to be good representatives for us. So, next up is my awesome co host, Eugene. Final words?
Wow, what a day, Natalie! That was just amazing. I'm going back through. If you've got a copy of that debate, please send me. I'd like to clip it on a couple things. But I'd like it to come from you. Um, Dustin, you also like just really proud to have gotten to know you and just like keep up the good fight, brother. Um, yeah, I know that sometimes these are long days and long nights, right? But hopefully the journey was worth the effort. I think the journey is worth the effort no matter what. I keep saying this, you and Natalie and others, you're out knocking on doors and spreading this message of democracy, that we're losing our rights to vote, to our bodies. Like they want to take everything away from us. I don't understand why it's so important to them that their great platform is to remove rights of Americans. It just like this is supposed to be the land of the free. I don't get it, but here we are. And so I thank both of you for carrying that message forward, no matter what. That this is a nation worth standing up and worth protecting our democracy for. And I thank each one of you. And Natalie, that you really you knocked it out of the park with that debate. I really respected you, but like it just like it shot up through the ceiling watching you, the way you handled yourself. That was way, that's the way I like to see people handle themselves. It was very well done. Anyways, D, thank you for allowing me to walk this journey with you, and thank you to everybody that contributed. I'm like my head's so full of nuggets right now. I'll probably go make some strange video or something. Anyways, thank you.
All right. Well, Dawn came up, and I was trying to get Shauna to tell us about the music space, and I'm going to give Dawn an opportunity, and she can remind me. I don't know if we have put the link in the thread or not. But Dawn, go ahead. You there?
I didn't know I came up. Hello. How are you? Oh gosh. Congratulations, Natalie. Wow. Okay, I have nothing to say. But happy Friday. I'm ready for the messy. Vote Democrat. That's all I have to say is vote Democrat. Do whatever you do, canvas. I'm on message right now. So Proud of all of everyone's accomplishment, what they're doing locally, what they're doing with the text and phone banking. Vote Democrat. I don't care what you have to say or combat disinformation. If you don't know what you're going to do for, the issues that they're talking about, figure out a way, craft your own message. Vote Democrat. Doesn't matter for this particular election. Vote Democrat. That's all I'm going to say.
All
Love
right.
you.
Well, we love you too. Thank you so much. Shauna did
And
come back
and,
up,
and thank
and
you for keeping the violence down before the room tonight.
hmm right,
Don't
Shauna.
make me don't make me start nuggets.
Okay.
What kind of nuggets you got over there?
Oh my goodness, Shauna, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Uh,
Yes, spaces tonight at 7 p.m. It is just like last week, only this week it's the male groups. It's top five songs from black male R&B groups from the 90s. So be there, be square, 7 p.m. Central Time, and I did put the link in the nest. So yeah,
awesome.
thank you.
Well, well, thank you. And again, I want to thank all of you for another awesome conversation today. As always, it was because of all of the awesome people who come here every day to contribute and make it awesome. And that is all of you. And I just want to thank you all for coming here. You know, Eugene and I are here every day, Monday through Friday at 1:30 p.m. Central Time. And we're here because we understand where we are at this particular time in our country, and what's at stake, our democracy. We're in the heat of an election that will determine whether or not we hold on to it. And um, I hold on to you guys, to this community, because I think Tiff spoke to it a little earlier about having. Like the previous elections, and having frustrations and things, and not really having anyone to share those with. So I am truly happy and grateful to this community now that we have this to share our thoughts, our frustrations, but certainly our work and our efforts. And I do believe that it will make a difference. I believe in you guys. I believe in us, and I think that I feel very hopeful, and I think that we can have the wins that we need and more. I'm expecting abundance in blue candidates everywhere. And that's just what I am going to claim. And I'm going to leave you with these hopeful words from the late, great Representative John Lewis. Do not get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful, be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, necessary trouble. So I thank all of you for being great, good troublemakers, and making noise and knowing what's at stake and not stopping. I love you for your persistence, your determination, and your, civic engagement, and your desire to inspire and engage others. It all matters. We need it all. Everything's at stake, and I know that you guys realize that. And I'm thankful that I have such a wonderful group as this to be a part of in that fight. So keep up the great work. Keep making noise and good trouble. See you back here next week, same time on Monday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But I know that we'll be seeing you in these Twitter streets before then, like tonight in the music space that starts at 7 p.m. Central Time. On Sunday, there will be the Fourth Estate space. And Dawn, is it 2 p.m. Eastern time?
Yes, 2 p.m. We
Okay.
normally try to do between 2 and 4 p.m. And Dana, I don't want, is she down there? Okay. Well, yes. And this week will be about Florida, Governor DeSantis, because Charlie Crist and DeSantis has a debate on Monday. So we just need to, um, this will be just holding Governor DeSantis to account. She's from Florida, so this will be something a little personal to her. And those of you Floridians, do we know, anyone who's got it right, the fourth estate, and who's got it wrong on the reporting? We know what we see some of his actions this week. We're going to talk about him um, in Tampa, rounding up those voters. But then again, I think, well, I think you've already seen its case has been thrown out. They're good to go. But we're just going to keep a watchful eye on him. And I haven't seen, we want to see more from Charlie Chris right now. We need to see a little bit more, but on the ground, from what I understand, from Floridians, and Mama Donna, you can attest this, or anybody else who's here in Florida, that he's making moves. So we just can't wait till Sunday.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to it. Another opportunity to get smarter. And I love it. So I love that you guys are hosting such great spaces. I love that you're attending great spaces. But just keep in mind that, all spaces may not be good for your mental health. Keep that in mind when you're entering them and protect your peace. With that being said, I'm going to leave you with peace and blessings. Have a great weekend.